Is Kathleen Kennedy renewed? Spider-Man trailer drops. And the Black Widow case heats up. This morning on Midnight's Edge in the Morning. Good morning and welcome to another week as we crawl through August of 2021. I'm Tom Connors. With me as always is the boss man, Andre. How you doing?
I am doing excellent. Greetings, everyone. Thanks for joining us this lovely Monday. At least it's lovely where I'm at. I guess it's not everywhere in the world.
Outside of a little humidity, it's not too bad here. And with us, as always, is the man who has all the cures for your entertainment needs, Mr. Script Doctor PhD. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Good morning, everyone.
It is indeed a good morning. We've had a pretty eventful weekend in entertainment, considering things have been a little slower lately.
Indeed we have. And when we first set up today's stream, we were thinking, or at least I was thinking, that Black Widow is probably the biggest news there is in a relatively slow period for news. But that evidently isn't what you all want to talk about, judging from the comments.
Well, you were asleep last night when the Spider-Man trailer kind of leaked online, and then the news that we dropped on Saturday has kind of been moving around here and there, and so I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about that as well.
Yeah, and for those that do not know exactly what we're talking about, go check out that video, because for everyone talking about it only has 37,000 views. So I was thinking, well, that's kind of a bummer, but evidently made the rounds anyway.
Also joining us this morning, we have a Mexican Iron Man. How you doing, Mike?
Much better, man. I was working all weekend, and last week was hell.
Yeah, you were kind of busy last week, weren't you?
Yeah, things are pretty hellish from now till October 15th, but sorry I'm late.
Oh, that's all right. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, and people are, well, here's the thing, kids. You can go try and find the trailer. I see some people are asking for a link in the chat. We're not going to show it here. We're not going to share it here. People have been getting struck down left and right who have been putting it up. It's not even in the best of quality, but we'll definitely get into that shortly here.
Exactly. All we can say about that is that Sony does not wish for us to see it until tomorrow. So we must respect Sony's wishes in this matter. So we shall not be showing any leaked trailer right
even
here.
If we didn't want to respect it, we have to.
Yeah, exactly. But if you were to find it on your own and you want to talk about it and spoil it and everything, look, just stay here and we'll have you sorted out.
Again, it's not in the greatest of quality. So,
which trailer did I miss?
Spider-Man: No Way Home.
Oh, one of my buddies did a video on that, and his video got struck. He got like 8,000 views or something. He got killed.
That's exactly what we're talking about.
At 4 in the morning, 24/7 Future Media. Me and Pat S help him with his channel.
I tried to warn.
It went skyrocket, and then somewhere around 3 or 4 in the morning, it blew up. And then it died.
Yeah,
look at Sony.
Because they have the ban hammer on right now. They're copyright striking left and right. So anyone that are able to find a link to it, please enjoy, but do not expect anyone to.
There's not much you can say about it. They're well within their rights. I mean,
yeah, they are absolutely.
I mean, and I don't want to really spoil it for anybody much either. But
the right is fully on their side.
But it is what it is. And coming in this morning, we got Stephen Otten. Let's say hello to everybody in the chat. We got Stephen Otten, of course, who always sends us one of these awesome super chats, greeting everybody. He says, "Hail Andre, Tom, Mike, Script, Wrenches, and chat. Rest in peace, Marilyn Eastman from the original Night of the Living Dead." Oh, did she pass away last night? I didn't hear that.
Well,
it's too bad.
May she rest in
or this weekend anyway.
May she rest in peace, and remember it's too soon to do any jokes.
Considering we just lost Sonny Shiba, that was too bad too.
Yeah, that was also a rough one.
Hyper Guyver 2 says, "Oh, look, another day of dismal Disney drama. It must be a day that ends in Y. Please tell me we have something actually worth talking about." Well, sort of.
Kind of. I'm in the process of updating the thumbnail to this chat as we talk, or as we speak, is probably the more appropriate term. because I don't think that people are too interested in that whole Black Widow thing. There's really not that much to say about it just yet, but we will have Cameron Pasha come back on Wednesday, and I'm sure that's going to be a real hoot.
Absolutely. And then Nikki D sent us a super chat and says, do you think the new Spider-Man trailer will undercut the interest in the box office returns for Shang-Chi, or maybe encourage more people to watch? That's a very good question.
I have to say, guys, I want to hear both your guys here in the panel, plus all of you in the chat. What the hell are they releasing all of these Marvel things now just before Shang-Chi? Are they trying to drum up interest? Because to me, the only thing that these things do is that they reminds me that there's other movies that I want to see much more than Shang-Chi.
I think it's the first part, Andre, but they're not thinking of the latter. I think they're thinking
of the brand more than the individual content, perhaps.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think they're trying to drum up this idea that you have to see all this Marvel stuff, kids, remember, or you won't know what's what, you know.
But Tom, what about the 7 pillars of diversity and inclusion?
Well, we're getting all 7 in like 5 movies, aren't we? Well, and just remember, Kathleen Kennedy herself, speaking of the devil, said that she wants to do with Star Wars what Kevin Feige has done with Marvel, and that is make sure every movie and series you have to see it. It's a must watch, right? Like that's kind of the deal. That's how he's drawn everybody in, and he's become who he's become. Is you can't miss Captain Marvel. You have to see Black Widow. If you don't see Shang-Chi, you'll miss out on something. He's made the MCU the FOMO of everything in cinema. So yeah. You have the fear of missing out if you don't see something.
I don't know if people are so afraid of that anymore, but obviously
not so much anymore. But yeah,
could also be part of their angle to say the Marvel brand is back and stronger than ever, or at least so they want to let us know.
That's certainly what they want to suggest, or they want us to think. That I fully.
What about you, Mike? You didn't chime in on that quite much, but yeah.
I mean, I don't know, dude. It's hard. I'm still reeling from. I'm not sure what a hit. Where I'm still dizzy from Kathleen Kennedy. I mean, I don't even know if I care if she sticks around till tomorrow, till this fall, or next year. I mean, she's already a lame duck.
Well, I've been saying for how long now that you've been saying it
you've been saying it for like a year, almost
longer than that, I think.
Yeah, I was gonna say almost somewhere between a year to a year and a half. Because in reality, like, you know, with what you and Andre understand in script too, is that one of the things that you guys are great about is understanding the relationship between what happens today and time. Like the things that are happening now sometimes are, you know, the emotions are now, but in reality, these are things that have been set in motion a long time ago. And the three of you guys together on all the channels have been amazing at providing that perspective. Whereas we here in the real time, we feel the sting now. We feel it now like it's like something like someone came up and just hit us with a cattle prod and they just picked it up a minute or two before. When in reality, the woke cattle prod was picked up you know, what's happening now was set in motion a long time ago. So, you know.
Well, the biggest clue to know whether or not Kathleen Kennedy's on her way out is when people start talking about her potential replacement, and that has not happened in
you got a good
ever.
Point there.
Like, that's just how it is. I mean, I remember in the days with Feige and Perlmutter, when Perlmutter was kind of being quietly done out, that's when talks of Feige taking bigger reins was kind of the talk of town, and that happened. It happened kind of subtly, but you can point to the period of time of when Feige kind of, you know, stepped up and became the Marvel guy.
And then there was Michelle Redjwan for a while, and then she just kind of disappeared.
Yeah, she was a hot minute. Yeah, she was there and then vanished.
I mean, she's still there, I think, but yeah, you're right. I think she kind of got drowned out. And again, that just goes to the point we keep saying. Kathleen Kennedy is the most powerful woman in Hollywood. People keep forgetting that. Like, I don't know why she could probably fuck up 10 more Star Wars movies, and there's not much anybody would say to her. Like, I don't know. I don't know how anybody understands that or can't understand that. It's so like to get her out is going to be a fight and a half. And as we've said before, we have no idea what George put in her original contract. We have no idea what sweetheart deals Iger put in her contract.
Yeah, to me, that's the bigger issue. It's what Iger put in his contract. That's the big deal here.
What we know is that he had a habit of signing long-term deals where
Exactly.
he wanted to, and I get it. He's that kind of executive, and I've seen him a lot, not necessarily in Hollywood, but in other business industries where they put people in place, they give them a long contract so that they then have time to go, quote, be the CEO and hit the cocktail parties and the trade shows and the conferences. And
that's one part of it. The other part is exclusivity. It's like, oh, we got the hot talent and we don't want anyone else to have them. We will lock them in for a 3 to 5 year contract so no other studio can get them.
Well, like I keep reminding people, Kathleen Kennedy, if you just take away the Star Wars stuff, she's made almost every big movie in the last 40 years. There's been a part of it, right? Mainly tangentially because of Steven Spielberg, but still
been a part of it. That's
the thing, though. It doesn't matter in the Hollywood circles. She is royalty, and I keep reminding
people
you
have to be a part of it in order to get your step up. You don't even have to have been a crucial part. Just you were there, and you might know somebody. She's the type of person you don't look at the wrong way in the office, or you're going to get fired, right? Like that's what people don't understand.
You know what we had in my family? We had this one aunt who was the eldest aunt. And it was a combination. There was that feeling of dread, and she just kept messing everything up. Every picnic part, every barbecue, every carne asada, every quinceañera, every event. And it's that one aunt that on the one hand you have to deal with, but part of you wants her to have a heart attack and die, and part of you is just like, oh God, I mean, it's just that dread, and that's what permeates us right now. We feel this dread and this longing for loss that we then can celebrate, but that's not really the issue. I don't think. I think having perspective is the issue, like Script says.
I've heard she is a kind of a nightmare. Like I'm not going to say who said this, but somebody who works in Lucasfilm reached out to me, and who has worked there for quite a long time. I'm not going to say how long, because that could also indicate who they are. But they have basically said that since Disney took over, Lucasfilm is nothing but a toxic environment. Everybody is on eggshells constantly. They have no idea what's going on half the time. It's a mess, and this is what sounds like everywhere else because of the politics involved mainly. But we got some more super chats here. Ralph Mack, hello, how you doing? Says, hello, I am Andre from Midnight's Edge. I like donuts. I think you're supposed to say that.
Yeah, probably. So let me do that. Hello, I am Andre from Midnight's Edge. I like donuts. I think I got the accent wrong. I have to try to sound like Tom doing the accent. Hello, I am Andre from Midnight's Edge. I like donuts.
I was doing your voice last night again. Freak Sheet says, hope you're keeping busy, Script, and I hope you make more videos. Yes, your videos are awesome, Script. Your Picard series is one of the best breakdowns of that train wreck. When I discovered your channel, I was like, oh man, he stole my idea, but he's a real script doctor.
It's amazing how Script can go from like heart surgery, and then he goes and writes script, and he goes back to medicine and back and forth.
He only plays a doctor on TV.
Oh
yeah. And listen, my PhD are capital letters for a reason. One, I don't have a doctorate in philosophy, and then two, it denotes something else that is just an inside joke that not necessarily is real.
Oh.
And then we have Stephanie Janicek says, rumor is actual news. It's not just a rumor. It should be couched that way. Well, you're not wrong, Stephanie. Until it's true.
It's true because this is something that actually cannot be
verified.
Be verified. And Doomcock actually made a really, really good point in his most recent video, where he drew the analogy to Schrödinger's cat, the famous physics thought experiment. The irony of which was that Schrödinger was trying to prove how utterly ridiculous quantum theory is, and you can't seriously believe this. But still, you just run.
Well, there is the other side of this, though, too, as we've been saying, is a lot of other people have been saying she's gone. And though we have
never said that,
been lumped in with those people, we have maintained that she's not gone, but she is having her power stripped from her. That's a completely different thing.
That's what we have said. And for anyone doubting it, go back to 2018 when we first started talking about it. We were the first ones that put out the video, basically. I don't recall the title, but it was something along the lines.
Right.
No, Kathleen ain't going anywhere.
And if anything, if you take away the Kathleen Kennedy is sticking around aspect of Mikey's scoop or rumor, however you want to put it, I mean, it just basically confirms all the stuff we've been saying all this time, is that John and Dave are basically in control and she's just a figurehead.
Oh, yeah. That, to me, that was the most important thing about the rumor, because we don't know if she is done after when this contract expires, or if she will be renewed. And if she is, for how long? We do not know. It's as simple as that. And we will get into that very, very soon in much more detail. But
no,
for
it goes
right
back
now,
to what
let's
I
be
was
open
told,
to
where
both possibilities.
I was told she's not going any place until Indiana Jones 4 is done, or 5. I mean, sorry, not 4.
And also Stephanie, she had a
Yeah.
very, very good theory here that if she's renewed, it could be that she's just temporarily renewed until that is done and out with, and that absolutely is a very plausible theory.
She has other projects too, though. The Blood and Bones project or whatever that was announced.
And that is another reason.
And a few other things.
There.
Yeah.
Yep.
So like, and that's the other thing that I was told too, is she's stuck there until she decides to retire. This is her retirement. Like, this is her last hoorah.
Yeah. So we shall see. It's a matter of how much of a scheming gamesman Chapek really isn't, what actually can be done, or how much he has been weakened recently. All of these things factor in, and until then we can discuss it, and we will continue to keep you up to date on this. But as of right now, I see it as Schrödinger's cat. Kathleen Kennedy may be renewed, and she may not be renewed. Those are the two super states of the events, and we're not going to know which of the two super states that will materialize and become our reality for some time yet.
I think it's a lot like Kurtzman too. It's the devil you know, plus he's so embedded in everything, and she is too. You know, and we keep pointing out, like, it doesn't matter. You can fire her off the lot. You can get rid of her. You can ban her. You can do whatever the hell you want. But look at Amy Pascal. She found a way to keep herself relevant. And she's going to come up here a little bit later when we talk about Spider-Man too, I bet.
Oh, yeah. I mean, these people, they are great politicians. That's why they are where they are. It's not because they're great creatives, but because they're great politicians.
Exactly. A monkey, not truck. Or monkey, not truck. Okay, I said it right. Says, especially need to watch everything in case you miss something, even the bad stuff, especially the bad stuff. That's kind of what they want. Going back to the whole FOMO thing with fear of missing out. Like, that's the whole plan. And that's another reason why HBO Max and those guys are bringing in Laszlo from Discovery. Because even though Discovery's not this huge platform right now, it has the fear of missing out involved. Like, everybody I talk to about it, they're like, they got it and they watch it because they can't not. Like, it seems to make sense to them too. Even Cameron Pasha, I think, has been sucked into it because he was talking about it last night.
I look forward to having him on Wednesday.
I think you're buzzing there, Andre.
Yeah, I know.
Then Stephanie chimes in again, who says, Kathleen Kennedy is not the most powerful woman in Hollywood. After all, that's happened. You guys still believe that? Yes, I do. Because, again, they live in a bubble.
They don't think like the outside audience thinks with regards to cause and effect of property.
And
not until someone else comes and along and tell them. And Cameron Pasha, he really has been on the money, because that Atlantic article, that was truly, truly something, which went and basically said it's okay now to say that Kathleen Kennedy failed at Star Wars. And I've heard from several people that's the open secret in Hollywood. Everyone knows that she failed, but no one is going to tell it to her face. It's literally the emperor with no clothes. Everyone can see that the emperor has no clothes, but no one is going to say anything, not to the emperor's face. And until
she could demand your head and have it.
Exactly. Then the emperor still retains the power.
Yeah, see, that's the thing, is you just go look at the top 20 highest grossing films of all time, and she has produced like 75% of them. That's how she's the most powerful woman in Hollywood right now. And, you know, each one of the Star Wars movies, even though they've gone down, and I believe that that's part of the reason she kept her job, between that and The Mandalorian. She took all the credit she could for that, I'm sure.
Which is one of the pinnacles of what a producer does. Whether they are involved or not, they take all the credit.
Which, let's be real, Mandalorian is the single-handed reason why Disney Plus probably has the subscribers it does. But Baby Yoda sells beyond that too. So, no, again, I know it sucks to have to think about it, but she is. There's nobody more powerful in Hollywood as especially of the female persuasion, than Kathleen Kennedy. She has had her hands in just about every major movie in the last 40 years. So just about. The only thing she hasn't really had her hands in is anything Cameron had to do. Like, that's about the only one. President Joe Biden is here, guys. Hail President, I guess. Kathy should consider a career in politics. She could be president someday at this rate of failure. Exactly.
Ooh.
And he would know.
Yes, he would know. There's a man speaking from experience.
Like, come on, man. Come on, man.
You guys
I mean,
stop killing me.
if the late night talk shows won't poke fun at power, we freaking will.
Well, the thing is with this whole entire thing, not just Kathleen Kennedy, but Star Wars altogether, Script and I keep using the analogy I think that works best is it's a train, like it's a train that's going. You can't just turn it. You can't just stop it. But what you can do is plan ahead down the road and build new tracks. And I think that's what Chapek is doing, is he's building a turn in up above. And it's going to take some time to get there, though. That's what we keep saying. These things, they take a long time to take effect. Troy Pacelli's also in the chat. How you doing? Says, no one will tell Kay that she failed to her face. I will. Well,
yeah, and that's why you won't be working in Hollywood anytime.
Not just
soon,
that. There's a buffer. There's a buffer. They don't hear us. They only hear what they get told by certain people, and even then, it's candy coated. Alex Bogey says, first time I saw Kathleen Kennedy, I thought it was Hillary Clinton rally. I don't know if I'd go that far, but and here we got one that only Andre can say.
Yes. Who has her own show over at the Network right now? So everyone
I heard,
check
yes.
that out.
Yeah,
She says, "Love Baby Yoda."
Well, a lot of people do, and that's the thing is, and I think that's where we're going to get into the Chapek business as we move along here too. We'll definitely talk about that because I'm sure that baby caused Chapek to pay a lot of attention to how the merchandising and stuff is handled over there.
Oh yes, absolutely. I think that was probably instrumental in him choosing his present strategy. But before we move on with any of this, let's get caught up on these super chats.
Yes, there were some classic ones.
Yes, okay. The classic super chat then. Let's begin with that. The first one of today was Tony Yule, who says for $20. Whoa, thank you so much. Riot Disney and physically remove Kathleen Kennedy. Let's encourage everyone within Disney to riot. Let's not encourage anyone else to engage in any fiery but peaceful protest. But people within Disney, and certainly Disney shareholders, absolutely should do some peaceful rioting and demonstrations. I think that's well within their rights. And Tubular Bra sent us an on-set chair super sticker, and Eric Winberg sent us a little doggy super sticker. Said, hi gents, hello everyone, even before the previous one. And Tom, I believe you got the one from Hypergiver 2, Oh look, another day of dismal Disney news. And we got Nikki D.
I was going to say, unless we missed a couple in between there, we should be caught up.
Yeah, I'm just
double
checking.
Check,
yeah. No super chat shall be left behind.
Nope.
Unlike American troops, a certain somewhere in the world.
And that's why you need Chuck Norris.
Well, by the way, I might. All Norwegians are out, and the British sent in the SAS.
I think I did
get the job done. But,
I think I did pretty good on keeping up with the super chats there.
I think it looks like it. You did pretty good here.
Yeah.
And then let's see. You did amazing, because the most recent one is the most recent one.
Yep.
And before that one, how did they leak the Spider-Man trailer? What do you think is the motive? Was a question from Brian Barth.
Yeah, and that's what I got on screen here, and I think that's where we should kick this off.
Let's kick off with that.
I don't think they meant to leak it. I think that there has been so much demand for this thing that somebody put it out there, and I really don't think Sony's happy about this. Because see, here's the thing. It could be, the question is being asked, okay, let me put it to you this way. Do I think it's above somebody over on the Marvel side of things to have put this out in some way? No, I don't. Because there's good reason for it. And I think a few people even jokingly made some tweets about that last night. I think Gary and a few others had pointed out, like, oh, let's not distract from all this other bullshit by dropping this trailer, accidentally leaking it in quotations in so many words. I know I'm paraphrasing here because a lot of people besides him said something. So no, I don't think you're off on that. But I don't think Sony's too happy about this. Let's start with Mike. What do you think on that?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head in the first 20 seconds. If there's something that people have been looking forward to, it's this. And look, I'm not even a big Spider-Man fan in terms of comics and stuff. I mean, within the Marvel universe, I did read a lot of them as a kid, but I was really heavily a DC guy. But when you look at all the movies, if you look at the number of movies against what is the property that was created, the character, more often than not, the Spider-Man movies have been enjoyable to and financially successful. Now, there's been one or two that are arguably crap and borderline crap, and maybe one or two. You can argue which actor you like that you play them. But I would say that even me, and I'm going to call myself just a normie Spider-Man fan, as I'm not hardcore. Like I don't, I'm not going to Kevin Smith and pretend, because everybody knows I don't pretend about nothing. But I'm looking forward to this, and I'm not even a hardcore fan. And so if I'm looking forward to it, there's got to be overwhelming demand for this thing. And I think you're right. I think this is while they might be copyright striking everything, I think the fact of the matter is that we're so exhausted by what's happened in Marvel. We're so disappointed by what's happened or not happened at DC that this is something that everybody can get behind and look forward to. Hopefully. And crickets.
Let's hope.
I'm trying to figure out if that's really Doomcock in the chat or not, because you know how we have people like to
what
make fake accounts. If it's the real Doomcock, I sent you a DM. So
yeah, so did I. So you have two of them.
All right.
Not that we don't want to. Right now, I would be in shock.
That's why I'm not so sure, because I discussed it with him last night, and I didn't think today he'd be up this early, so we'd see if it is him. Though
that's him.
Okie dokie. Well. I'll send you the link if you're not busy.
I already sent the link.
So then never mind. Andre's already on it. Yeah. So come on in.
That's why there were crickets, Mike. When you
exactly. We're like, is that really Doomcock or not?
I'm like, okay, Andre and Tom are in the back typing up my pink slip. Oh
no. We're just sitting here trying to figure out, is that really him or is that somebody pretending to be Doomcock?
Yeah, because YouTube, they removed the verification badge in the stream.
Well, not the verification badges so much too, is you can't click on a person now and go to their profile.
Exactly.
Can I tell you, I am so mad as a fan of channels on YouTube's, all these guys, and we have a lot of them in our chat stream right now, people that actually are starting their own channels. Remember the good old days where you could say, hey, so-and-so's here, and you could just click and I could go sub? Now you can't even do that anymore. And you know who it's killing is? It's killing the brand new content creators, the little guys who are struggling right now to get their channels off the ground. And it makes me so mad that they took that away, because that was a great tool to help the smaller channels start to grow and be successful.
Yeah, well, Doomcock must not have got himself verified yet, which he has more than enough subs to do. You should do that, buddy. That's why I was questioning him. Like, is that really him? Yeah. You should get the thing verified. There you go. But we got a couple more super chats while we're waiting for the Overlord himself, if he's able to join us.
Yes, indeed. Elijah Snow, he wondered, what are your thoughts on how JPEGs changing to the shorter term contracts might affect this? I have some thoughts on it, but I want to hear what you guys have to say. Script. Let's hear your thoughts on this first.
Well, if let's say Kathleen Kennedy is renewed, with JPEG currently suggesting that he wants shorter term contracts, I would assume that maybe that would be the stipulation for Kathleen Kennedy's extension, is that she's got maybe a 1-year contract. As a result, that would fit in line with her covering Indiana Jones 4 or 5. Again, I keep forgetting about the Crystal Skull. And also would be a sign with regards to the rest of town that, JPEG is serious when he's going back to this more limited model for deals with talent and execs.
Just keep remembering, and this is what Cameron pointed out, and Andre will probably agree with this. The worse they try to make him look in the press, but the better things are going over there as far as what we want, that means we're winning.
Exactly. Right up until the point where he has to go, though. That means
yeah. If they manage to get
winning.
rid of him, that's a totally different scenario.
But up until that point, they're just going to be more and more shrill in the media. And Kamran the Seer, he has a very good track record on this, including what is happening behind the scenes at Disney.
Honestly, though,
and all of that.
Andre, I think if they were to have something on him by now, it would have made its way to the press.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that I think he's going to win. I think like the only holdout is probably going to be those that had like these incredibly beneficial contracts from Iger before that he can't legally overrule. I think that's the only way he's not getting rid of Kennedy, is if there's something there, as you suggested, that if there's some stipulation that if each movie hits $1 billion, then she has the right of first refusal to not be renewed. Some kind of asshole stipulation in there.
That's what it sounded like to me.
Means her invincible,
and it didn't count anything but the sequel trilogy.
Counter that.
Well, yeah, and that's the other thing I kind of got from it.
He can humiliate her. He can utterly destroy her rep, and we've seen this in the trades. I mean, even the Atlantic. So it's like okay now for the industry to say that, yeah, she kind of messed up Star Wars, didn't she? So he can make her a figurehead, but he might not be able to get rid of her completely.
Yeah, I mean, and that's kind of the way I gathered it too, is like it had nothing to do with anything other than the sequel trilogy, right? Like that was the big deal, because I didn't expect the other movies to make $1 billion is kind of the way I got it. Like they weren't,
but they expected a hell of a lot more than $1 billion from.
Yeah, but the $1 billion was the cutoff. That's the thing, is she got like,
that was the minimum threshold.
There was that big push at the end of The Rise of Skywalker to get it over that $1 billion. Remember?
Oh yeah.
See there, and that's where I think that came from. And then President Joe Biden chimes in again, says, "I want that ice cream, man. That looks good." How much of JPEG attacks are from KK minions versus Feige or CEA head guy? Feige seems likely, but I'm thinking it's some Avengers team up.
That's Avengers team up led by Feige.
I was going to say, you kind of just broke it all right down right there. You got, you know,
President Biden. You answered your own question, and for
that's
once
not the real President Biden.
No, that's true. This guy is way too alert and correct for that.
Real quick, before you get to the next super chat, I just wanted to note for the audience that going back and listen to the Midnight Surge stream, if you look at the news articles, there was also, I wasn't able to make the show, it was one morning, but Inc. magazine, which is the nation's Forbes and Fortune for small business across America, also had an article that was in total alignment with Forbes and Wall Street Journal. So if you see Forbes, Wall Street Journal, and then Inc. magazine, which is the #1 magazine of small business and entrepreneurs, franchisees in the country, that lines up against some of these woke, media pieces. And then you have the Atlantic, right there in the wall. So I think it's clear.
Well, and there's other things that can be done to Kennedy to make her look bad. I mean, a great example is the thing Paulie's been bringing up that some people think is not a big deal, but I think is a bigger deal than people are making. And that is one of the actresses that almost got the role for Rey was Latino, or Latina, I should say, to be honest.
Yes, Latina, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, that right there just goes to show that they had the opportunity to show how diverse they really were, and they didn't.
But they couldn't do it. Wouldn't do it.
Because it wasn't she wasn't enough of a KK stand-in. Hyperguyver 2 sends in another $5. There's a reason why KK won't make an appearance at Celebration. She doesn't want to risk hearing about her failure in an uncontrolled environment. You're probably not wrong.
Imagine how embarrassing it would be if she were to step in front of the crowd, and instead of cheering her and passing out from being in her presence, they start booing her. And I think that at this point, that's exactly what would happen.
I think
they were polite the last time. There were some boos then, but people were mostly polite. I don't know that people would be that polite anymore. If she were at a fan event with an uncontrolled audience where not each and every single one has been vetted and made sure that they're a stan, I don't think that she's going.
She's
to
been
do
very
something like that.
reclusive lately. Is that the
Bro,
word I'm
you
looking
guys, the Lucasfilm Studios is in San Francisco. Her estate with Congo Boy is in freaking L.A. You think she's getting on a plane and going to work every day, you know, and like taking the commuter flight up? No.
Well, that
No
would
way.
support what I heard is that she's more of like a satellite mom anyway.
She is. She is, and I'm gonna find out when I go back. I'm gonna try to. I'm gonna on behalf of Doomcock. I'm gonna go and deliver Kurt Spin. I'm gonna try to deliver KK some Starbucks coffee and donuts. True story.
Well, and that's how I heard Pablo Hidalgo basically got himself to the point where he was kind of like doing what he's been doing all this time without any, you know, anybody stepping in, is because KK is just kind of letting it happen, is what I heard too. So like, as much as we want to believe that she's responsible for a lot of it, I think it's more so that she just says, okay, you go do this and you go do that. And she's just used to, you know, and I think you made this point
Like
before
superior
too.
delegation.
Yeah. Like, I mean, of course, if you're used to working with people like Spielberg and Robert Zemeckis and shit like that all the time, then there's nothing to worry about. But if you put Rian Johnson in charge of your fucking trilogy, of course there's something to worry about.
Or Kevin Smith.
Or Kevin Smith. Yeah.
as some Mike Zero rumors would have that he's working. Of course, I don't
You know
trust
what?
that. I'm not saying that's true, but if you
Of all
were
his
to do
fucking
something
rumors?
like that, then yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised, because he's been around there quite a bit. He has been on the set of every one of the fucking movies.
He has, hasn't he?
He
And
does a
he's
voice in the
cried
first
at
one.
every single one of them too.
Yep. And in fact, there was the whole big joke that J.J. Abrams had the big stormtrooper with the sign that says "Loose Lips Seek Ships." When he brought Kevin to the set, he goes, "By the way, I made that for you." Because Kevin's well known to just fucking blurt shit out. And they made him sign like all these NDAs and shit like that. But still, they like that's the joke. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's one of the few things that Mike Zero put out there that ain't fucking true.
You mean that ain't fucking bullcrap?
Or what? Or yeah, that is true. I mean, I should say.
Yeah.
You know what I mean. Fucking
yeah. Well, yeah. I know. What you mean is even a broken clock is right twice a day.
And if anything, the Alkalite would be the perfect place for him to get stuck, because it's not a big deal. It's not the Mandalorian. It's not any of that crap.
And both his wife and his daughter would be so happy. And
they'll be in it. Tennille89 says, "Wait, Andre, are you describing KK's state as powerless figurehead, or how to live with and manage herpes? Both."
Yeah, one does not have to rule out the other, as I like to say.
Oh no!
But at least one has a medication for it. Just Nova says, "What I'm afraid of is if Bob Chapek is a numbers guy, he may ignore the creative issues and only use data and to make decisions." And you're right, Just Nova. Mm-hmm. Under normal circumstances, if Disney was a well greased engine running just fine, Chapek would be the monkey wrench you do not want thrown into the equation, right? And I use the Tom Rothman as a great example of this. You know, when he was over at Fox, when he had a lot of IPs, and Fox was a huge company for that kind of stuff, he was the worst thing that could have ever happened to him. He's the reason, the X-Men went the direction they did, and more specifically, he's the one who who shut Deadpool up. That's his big claim to fame. But he basically trashed Fox while he was over there. But when he come over to Sony, he took a company that was on the brink of just utter destruction, because didn't they rate lower than Lionsgate that one year, Andre?
Almost.
I was gonna say, but then Tom Rothman comes along and he's like, "All right, fuck it. I don't understand the superhero thing. Kevin Feige, you take care of that for me. I don't understand this Ghostbusters thing. Dan Aykroyd and Ivan Reitman, you take care of that for me. I'm going to make shit like Baby Driver and all that kind of stuff." And next thing you know, he's got Quentin Tarantino over at Sony. He's got Nolan over at Sony. He's got all these big hitters over there. He's doing just fine. They're making money hand over fist. They're doing great. In fact, they're the only ones right now that I think are going to make it pretty well out of this, because they're the only ones who are not worried about putting shit on streaming and stuff. And a lot of the stuff they have, they can sit on for a while.
They seem to be playing the game of, let's see what these how many mistakes these studios make with their own stuff, because they attempted streaming, but then they got out really quick because they didn't want to risk the amount of investment.
Right. And they had the perfect platform to do it with the PlayStation Network, and they didn't.
They tried though, because there were a couple. They had like Powers, which was their PlayStation superhero show, low budget TV show. Went 2 seasons, did not.
Well, I heard
did
they
not
just
fare well.
closed down the one part, and I think they turned it over to, I can't remember if it was Voodoo or somebody else, but
Yeah, they did some kind of like ancillary deal for their content.
no, like as far as selling their movies off or anything, they've been very selective. They pushed Venom back with no qualms a few months in Australia. I wouldn't be surprised if it gets pushed back again here. That's probably another thing to kind of get back onto the Spider-Man deal, why they probably didn't. They were in no hurry to probably get that out either. Like, I'm sure that was Disney pushing that shit.
I mean, there's another way to look at the super chat, which is to say, ignore the creative issues and only use data. How about we use data where creators that make money work? That's, you know what I mean? That's really what the issue is here.
Right. Well, you're right, Mike. Like, here's the problem we've run into where we need somebody like Chapek now there because they haven't been paying attention to what the people want. They haven't been paying attention to what's been selling. And this is what his big motives are. Give the people what they want. I don't know if anybody else has anything to add to that. Andre is quiet, so I don't know.
No, I was just looking at, and you missed a couple of super chats here, but we'll get to that
possibly because the thing jumped on me
after Stephanie Janishek Smuggler's Cantina, who points out Kathleen Kennedy was at celebration last time and galloped out with JJ as he was being introduced before she was to avoid being booed.
Oh yeah, and the other thing she was out there for was the Obi-Wan announcement. So yeah, it was strategically planned, I'm sure.
Very strategic exit and entry and everything.
There is a couple more we got to grab here before we can go back to classics real quick since they're on screen.
Yeah.
Even Doggy says there's a medicine for that, the critical drinker. Yeah.
The medicine for everything, and if he's not the medicine, you'll definitely find it in his drinking cabinet.
I miss Drinker. We haven't had him on in a little while. We got to get him back. Doppler Radar says sketch therapy got busted pulling. Okay, Glay ops. Seriously, if you guys want to argue and do it in super chats, I guess. Tom, why does EBS consider me a zero? Kind of rude. Well, that's his prerogative. He doesn't even remember streaming with me half the time, I guess. So that's
no, because don't even get me started on that.
I love EBS, but he's EBS. So what can I say?
Yeah, exactly.
Then Nikki D says Elizabeth Olsen reportedly expressed support for Scarlett Johansson's lawsuit against Disney. Think this may be Feige's doing. Oh hell yeah!
Oh, absolutely it is.
Hell yeah!
Yeah.
Because
Feige, he's there behind the scenes and he's stirring up everything. He wants everyone to come out and support because this is about his longevity with Marvel and with Disney because he knows it's either him or Chapek.
Well, and I brought this up
for him to win long term is for Chapek to go. So he needs to give Chapek this loss.
And I brought this up last night, is that a lot of the moves and type of things that Feige's doing right now are not the moves of a confident man. Especially the type of cool and calm he's shown over the last, 10, 15 years in comparison. He's acting like almost like a caged animal at this point with some of his reactions. Not as bad as others, don't get me wrong, but it does make me believe that Chapek is starting to pull some of his things, and Feige don't like it.
It might be Feige because Olsen's not with CAA. She's with Gersh, I believe. So that's a different talent agency. So yeah, that might be if it's true that she publicly supported ScarJo on this, and could be a Feige influence there.
Absolutely, like he would be the unifying link.
Yeah.
And then Jerome Hughes says, what if, like you said, since KK's power has been stripped, he'll make her reject woke narrative through the new contract? Well, that's one of the hopes, is that, Chapek's like, get the woke out. Because when he was asked about the political thing, his whole thing was like, I would like to think that Disney is a non-political company. And I don't think he's going to make a statement like that and continually push the other side. I think he's had enough of this. I don't think... honestly, I couldn't tell you what his political stance is, but I really don't think he cares to put it out there because as far as he's concerned, he don't give a shit what color your skin is or what political party you're from because your money's still green.
I can tell you what his politics are, and that is create value for the shareholder. And if employees in Disney are unhappy in the process, well, sucks for them, because he's not there for them, he's there for the shareholder. And that's exactly the kind of value and attitude that you need to right the ship and fix a company that has gone that has like gone politically overboard the way that Disney has. Then that's exactly the antidote that you need. You need a man like Chapek. And obviously, at some point, when the ship has been righted and it goes too far the other way, then you need to bring creativity back. Then you need someone else to come in and do another correction and undo some of his changes. But for right now, the short-term contracts, the focus on merchandise, that's exactly what's needed for Disney. And that also actually answers a question that we got earlier. I don't think we answered fully. That was a question from let me see here, behind the scenes. It was someone who asked about what we thought about these short-term contracts. And just to answer that, I think they are a very, very good idea for that very reason. They force everyone to perform. It was Elijah Snow who wanted that, just to answer that question. Yeah, I think it's a great idea, and that's exactly what's needed at this point in time for Disney.
Short-term security or insecurity of the day mandates action today and results tomorrow.
And that's where they are right now. They need to correct and right the ship. And with that, I want to bring up one that I can bring up on screen. T-Neil89 said for $10, morning from LA, guys.
Good morning.
Fun anecdote. Both my folks are both in the industry on the sports side of things, and I have learned KK's name is apparently used as a shorthand for missing the forest for the trees.
Holy crap! Wow.
Yeah, see, that's the thing.
89.
We're not denying, Stephanie's right as far as that goes, and other people are too, as far as like, she's fucked this up big time. It's an open secret. It's one of the biggest.
Exactly. Everyone, it's kind of like when South Park did that amazing Jennifer Lopez song, Taco Flavored Kisses, and she would hear it all over in the background, but never to her face, kind of like that. Kathleen Kennedy, because of everything that's been in the articles and everything, it's an open secret. She is the emperor with no clothes. But still, everyone keeps on pretending, which is why she still has kept her power, but she doesn't have the respect that she once did.
So good. I love that jam. When those guys did that skit, oh my God, it's a classic. We Mexicans and Latinos love that jam.
Absolutely. And no, I think that's the thing, is like, she is so powerful, you would never say it to her face, right? Like, that's the thing, is she could destroy your career in an instant, like, that's why you don't. But, it is what it is. You just got to keep moving along, and eventually she'll go away. I think that's kind of the attitude I get from people when I talk to them about it. Is like, eventually she'll go away. She's not going to be around forever, but yeah. So, but she is just one of those people that you don't want to cross to her face, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Because she still has some semblance of power, and you don't want to be the one who gets your head.
For instance, off, let me put it to you this way: the reason Kevin Feige went out there and said that he has no plans of taking over Star Wars, or there's no truth to that, I guarantee you, somebody in Kathy's camp or Kathy herself made him go out there and say that. Because that made her look really bad.
Yeah. And then Jerome, he also follows up with, I hope you're right. I'm hoping the same.
Well, hope is not a strategy. I mean, we're all on a bit of hopium right now, but hey,
Well, that's what we got. You can't really blame anyone for that. But yeah.
No.
I get credit.
We have to leave to Chapek.
I get credit for bringing that drug to the table, hopium.
And Doppler radar, you can keep sending those. We're not going to read them. You want to argue with somebody in the chat? That's just ridiculous.
Well, what?
Yeah, we appreciate the donations, but I'm not going to sit there and fuel a fire. Sorry. Corian, which resident who was on last night with on Doomcock stream, says, morning, Tom. 2 days and 2 live streams. No wonder we don't have good He-Man on Netflix. Tom is right here. Well, if they would just let Andre and I handle He-Man, You would
Fuck,
have
how
some of the
amazing
most
would that
fucking
be?
Hey!
epic He-Man you'd ever seen, man.
Diversity and inclusion. Bring in Mexican Iron Man.
Yeah, of
Already-
course. We'd need some good
Well, of
consultants
course.
in there.
Yeah, somebody's got to help me spend the money on hookers and blow. I mean, come on.
That's what per diem's for.
Oh God, you're reminding me when I had my Santa Monica production office script. Those
I already
guys.
had a plan for a trilogy and a series attached to it and everything.
Prequel series, like,
Yeah.
that comes later and everything.
Yeah, it's called it was called either Eternia or Grayskull, either or. It was basically going to tell the story of Keldor and young Randor and how their relationship, fell apart and all that kind of stuff, and then that would lead up to the trilogy.
That's a hell of a story, actually.
Yeah. And then how Hordak got involved and all that business. And like I said, you start the movie with the twins, or with Adora being kidnapped is how you start the movie, basically. And just like they did with the whole thing. Well, actually start a little bit before that with the flashback to Skeletor being created. But still, you could save that for later too. That's all in the writing stage. But no, we've had ideas like that. You can put anybody who's even a minor fan in front of the series and they could do a better job than what we've got. And you've actually been a little bit more lenient on the new trailer, Andre. I know. I'm just like, how can you be so lenient on that?
Well, because it's the final hope there is, in a sense. That's what I'm saying. Because I cannot get into the mindset of the target audience for this. I know I am not this target audience.
That
All I
shouldn't
can
matter,
do is
though.
hope that they have done a better job at appealing to the target audience.
But Andre, when we were kids, when we were 7, 8, 9, 10, that age group, and the original He-Man came out, it was for us. And maybe we're a lot older now.
I know that. I do know that. But here's the thing. But the kids today, they don't watch the amazing stuff that we got to see then. They're watching crap. As I've been saying, like, you know who the most manly, man-positive role model there is for kids growing up today? Is Riders, that little soy boy in Paw Patrol. That's the single manliest role model there is right now. The stuff that are aimed at kids, that kids are bombarded with on Netflix, on Disney Junior, on Nick Jr., whatever it's called, it's beyond horrendous. Like, the only good thing that is even remotely like anything that we had is that Australian series about the dog, Blue, or something like that. I forget the series, not like the American Blue with the guy. Not that thing, but like the blue the Australian Shepherd dog. Bluey, I think it was.
Yeah,
that's like
that.
Beyond that, it's all horrendous. And kids that are reared on it, you show them something real, they might reject it.
Yeah. So, anyway.
So as a way to break the programming, that's why I'm thinking. I just hope it can do that. I hope that it has.
And you're fine on that note.
Enough to get that it can get entry. That maybe they can see it and by accident be open to some real stuff.
Well, my issue with it, Andre, is this, and I have not said hardly shit about the aesthetic part of it and the other parts. It's my part of the problem is that it is not He-Man. They can call it He-Man, but it ain't He-Man. I mean, I wouldn't care less if it was like I compare it to the 2012 Ninja Turtle series. Like, sure, that wasn't made for me. The humor wasn't for me. The design wasn't for me.
Yeah, no, the honest title would be "We're All Special and We're All Masters of the Universe."
That
would
my
be
problem.
The honest title, yeah.
And
I'd see that.
I'm drawing too many problems with the fact that you have a young down man at arms, and all the mentor characters are taken out of the equation, and there's too many problems I see already with it. Now, again, I get it. It's not made for me. Will I even watch it to review it? Probably not. Probably not, because I can already see what it's going to be. But that's the thing is, I feel like we should hold our kids' entertainment to a little bit higher standards. And you said you had a couple other super chats in between there. I think
yeah, we have one in between here. So let's do that one. This is one I cannot bring up on screen right now. Merlin's Id says the mouse has reeked our trailer. Shameful display.
I shouldn't laugh at that. We can't say for sure. I don't think Disney leaked it per se, but
no, I don't think so.
We didn't get Scripps' reaction to that, though. Do you think that Disney is above that, though?
I really don't know what's going on here, because one aspect of it, I could see Sony doing this so that they can get attention on their film with their Venom release and everything else that's coming up, because nobody's really been talking about Sony for a while now, aside from like the little Ghostbusters thing going on. So I can see someone in their camp doing that. On the other hand, it just seems really weird for someone in Disney to want to release the Spider-Man thing when they're trying to ramp up Shang-Chi. And at the same time too, like I've been to a couple of different cities in the last 48 hours, and I've been looking for advertisements for films, and I haven't seen any. Like no billboards, no bus ads, no flyers, no murals, nothing for any of the Marvel films coming out, which is weird because I remember when the Tomorrow War came out, you get like whole buildings with like these spikes sticking out of them all over
You're
the
right,
place
Script.
and stuff. But there's nothing for any of the Marvel things,
Script,
which I think is kind of weird.
You're completely right, brother. You're right. You're right. Tomorrow War was everywhere. Huh.
Yeah. It's just really strange. So I don't know what's really going on here. I wish I could get a beat on it, but it's just I don't know if the average audience person or potential even knows which Marvel movies are coming out in the next couple of weeks or months, because there's just I've yet to see any visualization for that. And hopefully that will change either this week or next, but it's cutting it really close in my opinion. You kind of want to build up for a premiere date and release. So yeah, it's aside from like the social media stuff, which is really just a small fraction of advertising, there's really nothing else out there. So perhaps maybe this trailer leak is a little bit of trying to stir up that conversation on the social media side of things, just to remind people that there is a slate of Marvel movies that are going to be dominating the conversation. But man, I don't know. It's just weird information at this point, given all the other circumstances we're facing right now.
Yeah,
Indeed.
that's a very good point right there. Very good point indeed.
Any other super chats we missed in between there?
No, I don't think that we missed any more in between. So I think then we're back to where we were.
Okay. And again, thank you, Doppler Radar, for the super chats. I'm just not going to fuel that fire between you and Sketch. Rod Thunderheart says, "Hail, Midnight's Edge. My hernia is better, but my brother is, well,
it's good that your hernia is better, sir.
Don't leave us hanging here. I mean,
yeah, well, he continued later on because he says like in the next one, now brother getting 30-year hernia worked on SNC last month.
Okay, where is it at?
Last Monday. Okay.
Now, is your brother into wrestling and stuff like you are and stuff like that? You don't have to super chat again, just at me. I'm just curious. Because here it is.
It's in the next one.
Okay, so then I lost the one that was after that, though. So
I think that's now brother getting 30-year hernia worked on since last Monday. Okay.
Oh, since last Monday. Yeah, that's what he says. Yeah.
It's a little Canadian speak there, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Well, hopefully he has a speedy recovery, Rod.
Hopefully you both will get over your respective hernias. So yeah, fingers crossed for speedy recoveries for the brothers Thunderheart.
And was there ones in between there? I think
Richard Hunter and The Last Millennial.
Yep.
Yeah, Richard Hunter, he said, why do you care if Kathleen Kennedy doesn't have any power? What does it matter if she's kept on as a figurehead? Mike, I want to have your thoughts on this. Let's just for the moment assume, just for answering this question, we don't know what's actually going to happen. We don't know. But let's, for the moment, assume that she is kept on, she is renewed as a figurehead, but she has no real power over Star Wars. What's the big deal? Why can't we just let her have that?
As a capitalist accountant, I mean, my first reaction, and as a Star Wars fan, my initial reaction is I'm going to lose my mind, which I still might if it happens. But in the big picture, I really don't care because her hands aren't in the pot anymore. It's analogous to I have a client that's got this one chef that he signed a long-term contract to, which I told him not to years ago. And the guy's really just a figurehead. He's never around. And the restaurant's doing great without him. And it was doing crappy when he was there because he was a horrible manager. But, he's still getting a small retainer for having his, quote, name on the restaurant. And I mean, I really don't care. I don't care. Frankly, I don't care if she leaves next month, later this year. I don't care if she leaves a year from now. I don't even care if she leaves the day after the next Star Wars, convention. All I cared about is she's not directly involved in creating anything that I care about that I'm probably not even going to see for months or if not years anyway. That's how I feel.
Script.
I mean, that's a fair point. If she's just a figurehead and has no real creative control or power, I mean, the only question is that will things get better with a newer set of creatives underneath her if she still is the figurehead? And then what happens there? Does she just go back to the old well of like, well, even as a figurehead, I'm still the one who's responsible and taking credit for these other people's work? I mean, it's the relationship of the producer, especially one that manages to compile a team and then get something in production, and then after that team succeeds, they say, yep, it was all my doing. And if they're a figurehead and they actually have nothing involved, they can still make that same claim. So it's really about reputation and ego at this point. So whether she has power or not, she's there. It all comes down to, does that impact the brand? And that's the question that's up in the air right now. We've seen the evidence so far, like her decision making, her powers have definitely impacted the brand of Star Wars, and yeah, it's a very peculiar part. Like, he makes a good point. If she's just there as a figurehead, that could hurt customers potentially. But if the product that's coming out with a regime change underneath her by way of Bob Chapek, and so Star Wars starts to succeed again, does it really factor in, or we have to wait and see if maybe her figurehead status, if that ends up being the case, does impact the success of something that is of quality because people refuse to watch it because she's there. So
that's a very good point, Script. I didn't think about that, really. I didn't think that through, and that's similar. That makes me think of what Tom, you and Doomcock were talking about last night too, which is that if she does, I may not. Okay, my personal opinion means that I may not care because I know she's not impacting anything. But you're right, Script. And that touches on what I think Tom and Doomcock were talking about last night, is that just for her being there may just piss people off so much that it just further seeds the bad waters. I see where you're going.
Yeah, good. Like, you don't know. There might be another show that comes out that we haven't seen announced yet, or another movie of Star Wars, and it could be absolutely fantastic. Have none of the stuff that people complain about, and rightfully so complain about within Star Wars, but it might not perform well because everybody else has either jumped ship or refuses to do anything to support the brand because of the figurehead in charge. So, I mean, they have to weigh those variables before making a decision on Chapek and the rest of the company's side of things.
Brilliant.
Yeah, Tom, your thoughts before I chime in. Okay, then I chime
on which
in.
thing?
Yeah, on
does it really matter?
Yeah, does it really matter?
Oh,
Like,
on KK, if she's a figurehead. Well, we've kind of already been witness to that, haven't we? She flailed out and used her power as much as she could by getting rid of Gina Carano. That's the other problem we have, is if she's in this position for how much longer, how much is she going to act like a fucking whining, screaming child that doesn't get her way? How many more people is she going to lash out at? That's the other problem you have. Other than that, then it's going to be business as usual, as we've seen for the last 2 years or so. Dave and John are just going to keep doing what they're doing. She's going to try and do what she's doing with things like the High Republic, and they're going to continue to fail. And that's about it. Like, the best case scenario, I guess. But yeah, worst case scenario, we're going to see some more axes fall like we did with Gina. But I think Chapek is making sure that can't happen again.
Yeah. And as for me, I think it does matter that she remains there, even if she has no real power, for two reasons. One is the symbol effect. You have to pay close attention to know that she has real power. From anyone just looking outside in, she is going to look like the one in charge. It's going to look like she's the one doing all of this, and she is now a person that, to a very large portion of the fan base, is quite toxic. The new regime will forever be shackled and anchored by her mere presence. They will never be free to fully do what they want to do as long as she is there, because everything that they do, no matter how good, will to some extent be viewed with suspicion. And as long as she's in the building, she can exert some sense of influence. And as we've seen of what she's done so far, any influence that she has will probably be negative because she's not a creative in these matters. She's an activist. And then finally, if she has no real influence, why on earth should she stay? What is the point? She's dead meat. How much do you have to do to accommodate a person for their past glory, stuff like that, when they're dead meat and the only thing they do is bring everything else down by association? She's had her time. It's time to let go and let the next generation do their thing.
Well, I think that's where it becomes an Amy Pascal situation.
Yeah, of course it is. But,
where you just give her whatever she needs to get to be happy and then get her out of the way. Yeah,
exactly, and that's and that would be better. But I really think that Star Wars cannot really excel until she is gone.
Yeah, you know what? You guys are right. Listening to Script this morning and Doomcock last night, Tom, you last night, and Andre this morning, you're right. It does matter, and it matters huge. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So like
that's a compelling. That's a very compelling argument.
But still, I do think it does matter. I think it matters. I don't think it's beneficial at all that she's there. And also, Coraon Witch in Residence says Mexican Iron Man at arms. That sounds like a combo. Yeah,
I like that.
That's
cool. I better not miss Arm Day anymore this week.
Boy, you're gonna get so many new titles before you know it.
Oh, I like it. You know what would be a winning combo is if everybody in the chat room could please take a quick second and hit that like button. It'll really help out Andre and Tom, and there's really great guys, and they never ask for anything. But please hit that like button. It'll really help them out in their channel. Thank you.
Listen to that pimp. Gladiator says, why is EBS turning on the Phantom Menace? He called everyone in F&T a bunch of zeros. Now he's mocking all the videos made by Phantom Menace. What the fuck? Yeah, we addressed this a little bit earlier. You know, EBS is going to EBS. You know, he's going to do what he's going to do. There's a lot of stupid drama going on, but we're not going to feed into it. We don't get in the middle of drama. That's not what we're here for. So, but no, I wish EBS the best. He doesn't. I mean, we know him. We're not like close friends or anything like that. So just, you know.
Hell, and just so people know, I've been a channel member of his for, I don't know, a year or two at least.
I got his books. I mean, he promised me a copy of the first. I
have a signed Vampirella cover.
Anyhow, but Merlin's ID comes in, or Merlin's id, I should say. Sorry, I keep doing that. Active measures. How do you set the West up for a fall? Remove their protectors, namely Western masculinity. Oh, yeah, that's
one way of doing it.
One way, yeah.
And then we have we also missed one from the last millennial who says, question, which will they release first? Indiana 5 or Avatar 2? I'm guessing the 7th bugbear variant before both.
Well, isn't Cameron pretty far along on Avatar? Because didn't he film like a couple of them together?
Bro, we talked about this on Meat exhaustively.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I mean, it's who knows, bro. I mean, good God, I think you're gonna have to time put into the future to watch that movie. I don't know.
Well, and that's another thing on the Indiana Jones side of things to remember why if she's going to get a contract extension too, that's probably why. Indiana Jones is still a year out before it's released, if not more. You know, and there's a few other things that are still in the pot that she's part of. So they're not out from under her rule for a while, but that, like, Script is right. That doesn't mean that yet she don't, you know, let's just say for the sake of argument, she does get renewed, but that entire time she's spending finding her replacement, right? That could very well be the case. And then if we start hearing that, then that goes right along with what Script was saying.
Yeah. It does indeed. Of course, if she gets a vote in who her replacement will be,
we don't know.
It could very well be that Chapek has his own thoughts on who should be her replacement. She might not get a vote in that matter.
It might be contractually obligated that she does, though.
Again, then it's a freaking Iger thing that comes back to haunt. That's not what I hate with like those long-term contracts. Like, you can never get rid of them. I mean, the first chance that Chapek have might then be with the replacement of Kennedy's choice. That might be like the first chance where he is the one that can decide the contract.
Yep, there you go.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna have to read this one, Andre, unless there was another one in between there we missed.
Well, there is, but I'll get back to that.
Okay.
Says for $5. They knew that mature fans were looking forward to the series, so they could have considered that when they made it. Are you referring to He-Man? Here's the thing, though, that they actually made the series for mature fans in Revelations. So from their point of view, since we have already made this one for the existing fans, we really don't have to care about them in the slightest for this one for the kids. Then we can go all in for the kids here, just as we went all in for the older fans in Revelation. Of course, in reality, they didn't go in for the old fans at all. They went all in for the activists. But maybe they didn't figure that out until later. What do I know? And then one that we missed is...
well, I just wanted to point out before you get to that too, that we learned about both these series around the same time. So they were both in production at the same time. It wasn't
they were, absolutely.
Yeah, so that's why they're dropping so close together.
Yeah. And the next one, Tom, can you get the one from shall we see here, from Grass Socks?
Yes, I can get that one.
Perfect, because that's the next one.
Oh, okay. Crass Sox says, Hail, do you guys think Chapek has a hatchet man brought in to go through the sea level? Oh, more than likely. Mike.
Or that he is a hatchet man.
He is a hatchet man.
Oh, go ahead, Mike. Take this one, because this is your...
He is the hatchet man, and covered in one of our previous shows. I don't believe I was on it, but I know the boys were. But one of the key things that we have to realize is if you look at the article that talks about the contracts not getting renewed and people being shoved out, people that have been there for literally decades, he is doing that now. He has been in the process of doing that. And like I said, this is one thing I said on the show, I think it was about a week and a half ago. In reality, Chapek is just now being able to assert his leadership. Yes, I know someone will argue, well, he got named, 3 or 4 quarters ago, but true. But then the COVID hit, they're on 911 lockdown, figuring the company out so it can survive. Okay, now, you can argue, well, we're kind of locked down, going to be re-locked down.
You forgot Iger reinserted himself in between.
Iger reinserted himself. I mean, he gets named. Iger comes right back in, and it's like, well, what the hell? So he's got to take that yo-yo out and push back on him. In reality, what we're seeing now, we're here in August, July. This guy is just now in the last 3 to 6 months started asserting himself, even though he's been named for a year. And what has happened in the last 3 or 4 months? People that have been there for a long time are getting axed out and walked out the door and are doing their bye-bye marches. At the highest level, you're talking general counsels, you're talking people in the CFO, the finance and controller staff group, and even before that, the first move, which I think was very telling on the executive level, is how he repositioned the distribution and marketing and merchandising execs. Whereas previously you had the creative types having a lot more control. And now you have that layer of management. So he has put his guard around the castle, and he's axing people out of the suites that they once had.
Yeah, and I think that's brilliant. That's exactly what's needed for where Disney is right now.
No, I don't really have anything to add to that. I think that's fair.
No, I think you're 100% right, and that's, as a money man, that's why I went to you first, Mike. But yeah, he's definitely. I wouldn't be surprised if in the next year we start hearing of a lot of heads rolling, like we kind of did with Warner when Kilar was going through his
and the backdrop of this, and I don't want to get too nerdy. I'll just do it in 60 seconds or less. So I'll put Tom.
Go for it.
But one of the things there's a huge backdrop is that Disney's Disney's credit rating dropped last November at the end of the month. And now it's in the B's, the high B's level, but it's no longer A paper. They can't just go down the street, even with interest being at a historical lows, they can't go down the street and just get a $5 billion line of credit like they did. And if they do, it comes with a much higher cost, which is further pressure on what little cash flow they do have. So the last thing they're going to do, they are going to, as they said in the conference call, what was it, last week or the week before? As they said in the conference call, they're not issuing or they're not declaring or issuing any dividends for 6 months, but then they expect to. That is when I think we're going to hear about a lot of these heads rolling once we get to 4 to 6, 7, 8 months out in the future.
And there you go. And I had nothing else to really add to it, so there you are.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
To add to that as well. And then Hairless Primate says, "These fools stole my loves. Anime gets my cash now." Yeah, many people feel that way.
Yeah. I wish I was a bigger fan, to be honest with you, because that seems to be the only place to get any decent entertainment.
Oh, I have enough vintage stuff from like decades ago to keep me entertained.
Oh yeah, yeah.
My lifetime.
Well, I mean, lately when I've had time, I've checked in with like classic He-Man again and stuff like that. So and there's always classic.
Huge, isn't it?
Oh, of course, yeah. I forgot how good some of these episodes are.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll hook you up with some classic Conan, and you won't miss anything else.
Yeah, and I mean, there's plenty of really great Super 7 toys and other things that are coming out. So it's not like there isn't stuff to keep me interested, but it's, I even got 3 Ninja Turtle movies coming, and I could care less.
Yeah, that's
who thought that could happen? Yeah, and then Joel Rice, to commenting on what we said before, figurehead or not, she stays, then I'm out. Completely lost interest in Star Wars. Mandalorian is average at best, and most people settled for average. Rests in peace, Star Wars.
No, he's not wrong. When you lower the bar as low as it can be, and then just take maybe 2 steps higher, yeah, people think it's really, really great, and I can't blame them for taking it that way, because when you get such disappointing content over a long period, anything that's a little bit better feels way better than it actually is. So yeah, I mean, you kind of have to grasp onto that if you just want to like the thing that you have invested in for most of your life.
Yeah, pretty much. And then Tom, are you able to bring up the super chat from Ralph Mack?
Where was that one at?
Because that's one that I can't bring up. Okay, well, anyway, I'll...
Doggone it, those YouTube screens are crazy, man.
Yeah, I know, it just disappeared, because I would just have loved to have this one on screen, so it's clear that this is a super chat. Because Ralph Mack says, EVS is a joker. And then he continues, kudos to you who find humor in all. Oh, thank you. Well, you've got to try. And then what I can bring up is from our very good friend, Cultured Casino, who says, what most folks using IPs as a platform don't realize is they destroy their power as they destroy the very properties they try and leverage. Script. This, of course, is a very salient point. Is there any understanding for this within the industry, or do they just have their heads too far up their asses to see this?
I think that's probably one of the many divides that's in town, especially that I've witnessed. Because again, like, I'm not in the core part of the industry. Like, I'm not in the higher up stuff. I'm on the ancillaries. I'm in outsider circles where a lot of us are like looking at what these tentpole films and franchises are doing and thinking, this is crazy. Like, no one would ever do this. So we're part of like the idea of like, yeah, you don't use IPs as a platform to pitch propagandic ideas. You use it, if you're going to use it as a platform, it's just to raise a question, and maybe there's a moral story that you can tell in that. But the idea is to make it as timeless as possible, that can be applied in any generation, so any generation can watch it and get value out of it. A lot of us love the long-term game of a movie. Like, you watch something that hits, comes out in, like, say 1974, and it just, everybody wants to go back to it over and over again. You go to Jaws. There's tons of great stuff about Jaws. Jaws is about responsibility and overcoming a fear. The fact that it's a shark, eating people in Amity is really kind of like the superficial aspect of it, the fun part to get you hooked in. But it's really about, a sheriff who he's fighting politics, which is like, oh, we need money, we need tourism, and that's the politics that they're fighting at that time. It's like, but people are dying. Like, that's what makes Jaws so engaging. It's the stakes, it's the conflict between relationships and goals. But then when you take it to more current day stuff, where the platform is, no, it's this certain demographic that needs to be elevated up, and in order for us to elevate them up, we have to push everyone else down because they've already been elevated up supposedly for decades prior. And it just and you can see that the quality is diminishing because it's missing the actual heart of what a story is really about. And yeah, it just falls away to the sides. And I think that, so you're absolutely right in that regards. The powers that be, the ones that are signing the checks, or the ones that are at least getting the information from their assistants and the people they've hired just out of college and university, are telling them all the wrong ideas for their own personal interests, and it's costing these amazing franchises and intellectual properties that have been developed over the latter half of the 20th century, and technically just devaluing them when they should be the biggest things dominating our conversation in a positive way.
That's why they bought them in the first place. And before we move on, I'd also just like to say that we have 1,300 watching right now, which is freaking awesome. But we don't even have 600 likes. So can you do us a favor? Smash that like button. Smash it like you want to smash those that destroyed Star Wars.
Yeah, like
that
that.
would be awesome. Yeah.
Smash it like it was carne asada and you need to have your tacos on the grill in 2 minutes.
Just a reminder, we're not the ones who say that KK is coming back. We're just reporting the news.
Yeah. We're just reporting the rumor. We don't even know if it's true or not. But if it makes you want to smash something, smash that like. And then Stephanie Janisch, ex-Smugglers Cantina, says a lot of people are going to be going back to Star Wars, regardless if she's got power, just because she's there.
I think she meant aren't.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. You probably meant aren't going to go back to Star Wars ever just because she's there. That's what I'm thinking too. That the only way for Star Wars to recover is that she has to go. She's the face of the failure and destruction of Star Wars. There's no.
On that note, though, we also have to remember
that,
like in our circles, like the nerd circles, we're the only ones who really know who she is, right? Like the normies have no idea who she is. They don't care.
Pretty much.
As I remind people, there's still people out there who think that Steven Spielberg directed Star Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah, but for. I think more and more people are aware, and now with the rise of the internet and everything, and those that are aware, they are the same people that buy the merchandise. The people that are aware are the ones that go and see the movie 10 times if it's good in theaters.
Yeah.
They are the ones that drive profits. They are the ones that bring 6 more people that otherwise wouldn't have gone to the theater. You piss those people off, they are the ones. The super fans, the really dedicated ones, those people, although maybe not numerous, they are the ones that are kind of instrumental in taking a movie that from being just a big hit to a massive hit, because they're the ones that are going to do all that repeat business.
Yeah, I remember that Baby Yoda saved her job.
Yeah, exactly. There's some.
It only takes one.
Irony there, yeah. And speaking of lowering the bar, Double Back Again said things are so bad. I watched Elektra and liked it.
No.
Ooh.
Oh wait, hold on. He gets one of these. Oh no!
And you know what I think is scary? If you were to rewatch it, probably doesn't hold up all that bad compared to some of the newer stuff. That's a truly scary thing there. And Mecha J sent us $10 with no comments, but we thank you so much for the support in any event. And Buster Grimes says for $5, I saw a comment about anime getting their money. Sadly, there's already a few preachy anime there. One of my favorites, Rurouni Kenshin, is one. I know nothing about that, but I think that I certainly get the impression that the Japanese anime is doing fairly okay. They're not too high on the woke stuff. So yeah, fingers crossed that it'll
look. Here's
stay what it is.
Here's a practical thing. As me and who's not historically an anime fan, and I've only recently I just went on a show. Was it GoGo 13's Anime 101 to learn about it? But look, it's pretty simple. You sit back, look, when anime starts doing Star Wars stuff, you know that Western cultural properties are doomed and over, and something else is a hot new thing. I mean, that's a hit and a half.
Yeah, indeed. And then Crown Witch in Residence says, if you have to knock someone else's success to feel good, that's jealousy, not the story. Sadly, there's a lot of that going around in creative environments. And Spike in Madness says, when you use property as a platform, you end up stepping all over that. And yeah, that's indeed what we are seeing. And Aferim says Andre needs to embrace the greatness of anime. I haven't recognized it yet, so maybe if I were to make a concerted effort, but I may be too old and stubborn and set in my ways. I'm like, yeah, people try pushing me into anime, and I'm like, those people need to get off my lawn. But yeah, maybe I should give it a chance. If I wait too long, then maybe I'll be like, oh no, why did I wait so long? What have I missed? Could be.
Pacing in anime is peculiar, but there's some very good character stuff in a lot of their properties. So maybe one day there'll be something that piques your interest.
I've been kind of enthralled by how they handle the action sequences, which are definitely different style, but very exciting and thrilling.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with any of that stuff, but I hear it's amazing, so I trust that it may be. But part of me wonders if it's also somewhat related to the lowering of the bar in most, not all, but most of American comics. That the bar has been so lowered that anime just seems all so much better by comparison. And
Agreed.
Nintendo Power says, bruh, Kenshin is political but preachy? Nah. Well, again, I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know.
I'm not
Moving
sure.
on.
Kenshin is
Wrong channel.
I don't even know what Kenshin is, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I have no clue
Not
either.
familiar with it.
That's completely.
And back to
That's
Hollywood
me.
news.
Yes. Let's see here. We missed one, and this is a good one for further discussion. Wild Dog 13 said for $5. This rumor is for PR output to generate a fervor to force Disney into renewing the contract, crying foul if they don't do it based on the rumor. Now, yeah, this is interesting because this is something that I saw Doomcock put in the chat earlier. We tried to reach out to him. We sent him the link. He hasn't seen it, so he probably won't be on. I would love to have him on, but what I did see is that Doomcock said that he has checked with his sources, and according to Doomcock sources, there is nothing to Mikey Sutton's scoop, meaning Kathleen Kennedy won't be renewed. And no one is accusing Sutton of anything here, but if one were to follow Doomcock's narrative, then Sutton's sources have been fed false information. And according to what Wild Dog 13 is saying here, it's within the realm of possibility if one were to follow the rumor that this is something that has been planted specifically to create a fervor, and then somehow that means that Kennedy can go in and say, well, look at the fervor and you can't answer to that, so rehire me, or something along those lines. Gentlemen, what do you make of this? Now, let's assume for a moment that Doomcock is right, and Kathleen Kennedy isn't rehired, but she somehow has put out this rumor that she is anyway. What would be the game plan behind something like that?
I don't know, but they basically would have thrown one of the few people under the bus that has kind of just put news out there and not really taken too many sides with Mikey on that point. But other than then they would turn around and just vindicate Doomcock even more. It would be the dumbest move ever.
But we've seen this before. Remember, a few months back,
exactly.
We had like this fake leak that was put out on Reddit, and it was obviously an orchestrated fake leak. We spotted it from a mile away. That this doesn't line up with anything else. It puts Kathleen Kennedy into too positive a light. Could it be that they wisened up a little bit and realized, okay, we have to get another narrative out there. We have to play some 4D chess here and put it out another way. Could this story that we got from Mikey Sutton, could it all be fake news? as part of a 4D chess campaign, and what would be the moves there? Script, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, if it is a fake news thing, and I'm not saying it is, I'm not saying it isn't, but if it were, I would see it more likely as a means within Kathleen Kennedy's camp to root out whoever is leaking the information. I think this is something that studios have done before, where they have been stymied in their productions because people have been leaking various secrets, and it doesn't track well. So what they do is they individually pull aside various people and they say this, and then once that leaks, they're like, confirmed, okay, this is the person that knew it, they leaked it, they're out, and then they just let the leak go away. And that could be an action that's being taken here in this context, where someone is saying that yes, Kathleen Kennedy is going to be renewed, and that person is identified as a leak, and then terminated from Disney for violation of contract. The other aspect being is maybe there is a 4D chess where they want to see if the trades are going to pick it up and try and show support for Kathleen Kennedy, and kind of allow that to influence the stockholders that yes, maybe she should be staying on because there's such a positive, or there's at least talk about the value that this could bring to the company, considering the fact that she's been there from the start with Disney's acquisition.
Mike, anything you want to add to that or counter in that?
I agree with Doomcock and your analysis as well. I think it very well could be, and they've done stupider stuff before, and I mean literally.
Tom,
I mean, I love Mikey though. I mean, don't get me wrong. I read all of his stuff all the time.
Yeah, no, but again, that's what I'm saying. But here's the thing, that he's not making anything up. He's recording things that he has heard. Right. Same as we do, same as Doomcock do. But here's the thing. It's very, very difficult to vet every single bit of information. And this is what I liked about Doomcock saying that this rumor, until we have some kind of tiebreaker or learn more, is kind of like Schrödinger's cat. Kathleen Kennedy is in a super state of not renewed and renewed at the same time, and we won't know what happens in our universe until we learn of it. So we can't possibly know the veracity of this before we get more information. Now, if someone were to put out a false rumor here, and they were to do that through someone like Doomcock, ourselves, or Mikey Sutton, all it would be is that we could try to verify that this someone is associated with Lucasfilm or with Disney. We would be able to do that, but then we, and Doomcock and Sutton for that matter, will then just have to trust that the information is accurate. If someone wants to use some new upcoming person like that, like Sutton, like Doomcock, to that end, there's not a lot what one can do to vet it. You just kind of have to go with it. In that way, a false narrative can get out there through no fault of the person reporting it. All they can do is hedge with, this is rumor, can't really guarantee that this is true, like Doomcock always does.
Yep.
Tom, no, I said it last night. I think that Mike believes what he's been told. Other than that, that's kind of, it goes like the same thing whenever we hear a rumor. We either vet it and see if there's any validity to it. If there is, then we'll put it out there. But
basically, do we find it more accurate to be legit, or do we find it more accurate to be fake? And you'd be surprised at how many things we are tipped off that we don't run with, either because we're not able to vet it, or because it just sounds too incredible. Of course, then it's frustrating when a few weeks or months later, when that scoop we didn't run with turned out to be accurate, because it sounded too incredible. But yeah, that's the risk you've got to take, because and we don't do breaking scoops first and foremost. We'll do once in a blue moon, but there's always some level of risk associated with doing that, because you can't know for sure. And other times, something can have been true at the time when you reported it, but then it changed. Then it changed behind the scenes after we reported it, and something else ultimately came up on screen.
Or there's the rare occasion where I'm fed something I didn't even realize. Like when I was talking about HBO Max not doing the thing next year with the day and date, and then like, what was it, a week and a half later, then it came out in Hollywood Reporter or Deadline or whatever. They said that. It's like, oh, okay, I heard that last week, but I guess I didn't know.
We just thought everyone else knew, so we didn't just think it was a scoop.
Exactly. Like, and not that we could really write a story off it either. That's the other problem right there. We get tons of stuff that you just can't write a whole entire video out. It's 30 seconds. 30 seconds of talking about it. Because I knew tons of stuff about Child's Play and other things that, you know, and I'd go to a few people and let them know. But, you know, other than if you're like writing a blog or a news report, it's a little easier to do something like a quick little story than it is for us to do a little video. Like it makes no sense to do a 1.5-minute video on, oh yeah, by the way, Brad Dourif just started recording his voice for Child's Play series. You know, like what else am I supposed to say? You know, so you have that kind of problem too.
Yeah, and we like to do full context and everything.
Exactly.
So then we do like then we wait until we have more. We do like a roundup video. Rather.
And sometimes what you'll have is those little scoops. By the time you do your roundup video, they're no longer scoops. So yeah, did we get this one from Corsair Raven?
That depends on which one it is. We didn't say it. It's just the chat wants to talk about anime, and Corsair Raven says, I highly recommend Iron-Blooded Orphans. Very good anime.
Oh my God, Corsair Raven. We can, Andre, I think we need a Midnight's Edge Mexican Iron Man action figure He-Man duplicate collection. I got all kinds of different characters the guys are coming up with in chat today.
Yeah, all right, cool. And STR Red Wolf says Star Wars Vision trailer dropped with anime style. But look at the 2015 fan film TIE Fighter, Star Wars, and anime. It's here. Yeah, indeed it is. Which only goes to show that anime is where it's at, evidently. Cobra Khan even points out that the Vinland Saga is good Viking anime. Yes, so I've heard. And that evidently is the subject for the next Viking series on the History Channel. But yeah, and Ralph Mack says Andre watched the classic Akira. Appreciate its age.
That's
yeah,
I
saw it. I know. I saw it when I was a kid, and I was too young to fully appreciate it at the time. So I have to re-watch that one. That's one of those that I actually have seen. Same with Ghost in the Shell. I saw that one. Again, I saw it too soon, so I didn't fully appreciate it. So that's one that I should rewatch. One that I really did appreciate was Paprika. I'm a big fan of the anime Paprika, especially like the parade theme. Like that's amazing music, right? Everyone will listen to that right now. No, seriously, that parade is freaking epic. I would totally see. Yeah, Paprika. I'm a big fan of Paprika. Tom, you have to see Paprika. Same with you, Mike. I'll do a watch party if that at some point.
I may have seen it, but it's been a while. Rob Adamson 1 says, has anyone seen Free Guy? I saw it last Sunday and I quite enjoyed it. Not yet, but
I'm seeing it tonight.
I've heard good things. Oh, that's good. You'll have to report back on how it is.
I'm seeing it tonight at 7:30 showing right here at the local theater.
There you go. Well, tune in to Mead tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Central, and you'll hear from Mike what he thought. Script, did you get to see it yet?
I did. It was. I read the script years ago, and I liked the script far more than the film. But Ryan Reynolds is definitely quite entertaining in the film.
Oh, never doubted that for 1 second. And then Samoan Pirate also said, Andre, watch Fist of the North Star and Berserk. Wasn't there like a live-action version of Fist of the North Star? Or is that something I'm just imagining? Sure. Because I remember I haven't seen the. If there is, I think I saw the trailer for that movie, and I remember thinking it looked incredible in trailers. But yeah, I'll probably check that out. And then Diego Flores, our fellow compatriot from Midnight's Edge Espanol, that is live every Tuesday and Thursday at this time, says Andre, One day you and I have to talk so I can give you a crash course on the basics of anime stories. For example, the space opera that is Mobile Suit Gundam. It touches on aspects of the effects of war and oppression by a political elite. Also, it's a documentary then. But yeah, no, that sounds very interesting. So yeah, I'd be happy to do that at some point. And Roger H sent a super sticker, so thanks so much
Thank you
for
so
that.
much.
And Steve Otten also says, I just want good entertainment. I miss lost friends. I fear for the freedoms we may lose. We're walking down a dark tunnel we may not see the end of. Yeah. I wish I could say that you're just being hysteric, but you're not. So the best we can do is try to stay sane, keep entertained, and take care of us and those that depend on us. Not else we can do. And in the meantime, let's try to have some fun while doing it. And then let's see if we got some others. Oh, here there came more. Then we have it jumped on me here. I'm just going to check behind the scenes so we didn't miss anything.
Yeah, it jumped on me too. I got this one here, but I don't know if there's any in between.
Okay, I didn't get that one. Nintendo Power says for $10, Kenshin is historically political. End of Edo period, dissolution of the Tokugawa shogunate, while mercs, Rurouni, like Kenshin, didn't have a place in society anymore, leading him to become a wanderer. Okay, now that's cool. I'm sold on that concept alone. That's an awesome concept. Super cool. I'm all aboard with it.
And thank you for the clarification.
Yes.
I had no idea what it is.
And Keeper of the Fate became
Welcome.
a YouTube member. So thanks and welcome. That reminds me, Tom, you have to get the next behind the scenes video ready here. I believe you have the audio already for the next one. Yes.
If I do, I don't know where it's at.
All right. Keeper of the Fate, welcome. Woohoo!
You might have to resend that. Because if I had anything, I thought I finished it all up. So
yeah, no, there was like one. I sent like one track with like 3 episodes and stuff.
I don't remember now.
Yeah.
I thought I did them all. Anyway, Borg Porg is the next one I got, unless there was any in between the other ones that you missed.
Let me check here.
Okay, while you're doing that, I'll read this one. Borg Porg says, FYI, Tom, EBS had your back with the drama. Okay, I already know who this is. Look, I'm not getting into this here. I didn't say anything negative about EBS, and it's ridiculous that you're acting this way, Sketch, so you really need to cool it. Rambam 3000 says there was a live-action version of Fist of the North Star. It starred English martial arts star Gary Daniels. Fist of the... Okay, there you go. There's your answer to that one, Andre.
Oh, yeah, there we go. There we go.
And then, yeah, unless there was any other in between there, I believe we're caught up.
Yeah, and as for others in between, let's see here. Darrell Brewer said, on a different note, California is making it difficult to get bacon now. Rest in peace, Taco al Pastor.
Oh, that stinks. Bacon's awesome.
Yeah, everything gets better with bacon.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
And then Adam THM comes in with $4.99, says Monster is underrated anime that deals with post-Cold War Germany about Soviet experiments, a must-watch. It doesn't take much to get a bunch of great anime recommendations once you say the word, is it?
Yeah. No, like anime fans are.
I just really wish I was more into the style, and I'm just not. I never really was. I really wish I was.
I'm willing to give it a chance, but
yeah.
Again, like the style is a really hard sell for me. But Denian82 says Paprika is indeed fantastic, and yes, I'm a big fan of that one, because there was someone close to me that said, like, Andre, I know you do not like anime, you don't get anime, you're not into it, and that's fine, but you need to see this one. And he showed me Paprika. Yeah. And I freaking loved it.
No, again, it's like I can't say a bad thing about anime. It's just, and that honestly, Andre, that was one of the reasons, and I think I've told you this already, why the 90s New Adventures of He-Man, I really just didn't gravitate towards it so much, is because they went more with that anime style with the animation, and I'm just
It
like,
had
yeah,
dread. Okay, the thing with
Yeah.
the 90s He-Man was that it had one thing going for it, and that was the scripts. It had one coherent story. It told one story across 65 episodes, and it did so very well. But the designs were dreadful. The animation was dreadful. And don't even get me started on the voice work, which wasn't even dreadful. It was beyond god awful. I mean, He-Man was fine, Skeletor was fine, but then there was all the other villains, and they were Jar Jar Binks, all of them. And then you had the three scientist guys, and they weren't just Jar Jar Binks. They were Jar Jar Binks times a million. I mean, and they destroyed every single episode they were in.
And
they
that voice
were in
actor
every
for
episode.
Skeletor was horrible. I'm sorry. Like, yeah, it was just, he sounded like Jackie Mason or some shit. It was just like, what the fuck?
Well, that's actually funny, because we did a video recently about like how in the continuity of Masters of the Universe Revelation, Skeletor is no longer a demon from another dimension or Skeletor. Instead, he's a regular guy from another planet, a planet of Skeletors, where everyone has
robot,
like
robot chicken level shit.
Yeah,
that is so robot chicken level shit. Yes.
The funny thing is, though, is that the Skeletor in the 90s series, he kind of looked like he was from a planet like that, because his head wasn't really a skull. It was like a normal head. It's just that the head was like really dried up skin and everything, because he had like a tongue and he had eyes and everything like that. Just like a really weird face that looked like a skull without actually being a skull. So the 90s Skeletor looked like he was from the planet of Skeletor of Revelations.
Yeah.
But that was a fun observation.
Ash and Jackal says, I appreciate you guys shrugging off the drama. Well, that's all you can do, because most of it is just bullshit.
It's bullshit, all of it.
Hyperguyver 2, one of our good friends, says, if you haven't seen it, you should see Perfect Blue. It's another one I've heard about, but I haven't seen yet. It was written and directed by the same man that made Paprika.
Oh, okay.
It's a solid psychological horror thriller that will make you forget that it's anime. And there's some good stuff that I've seen. I will try to check out certain things. The other problem I have is I just don't have time to check out normals.
Yeah, that's like the thing. We don't have much time for anything, do we?
I know. I've been, just in chunks. I watched The Deer Hunter, for instance. Like, that's how I got to enjoy things in the world I live in, with, with editing and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah. And I'll be right back, by the way.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And then I'm just going to check that we haven't missed anything. Durao On sent a super sticker, so thank you so much for that. I'm just going to do a quick refresher so that we didn't miss anything before we carry on with the discussion. And let's see. SDR Red Wolf says, Andre, maybe we need a Midnight's Edge anime channel, something for future plans. Well, yeah, absolutely. It can walk in line after we get Midnight's Edge Espanol to at least 10,000 subscribers. Yeah. So help us get there, and then we can go into the next one.
We have a lot of work that we need to do over at Midnight's Edge Espanol. I mean, we've gotten off to a great start, but we got a lot. One thing about we got to do is we got to do one channel at a time and really boost it up. And frankly, we'd have to have the right team, because one of the things we do at Midnight's Edge is we only put people on shows where they can excel. And I'm not an anime expert, but we do have some people that are. Maybe we'll do that down the road, but not before it. No wine before it's time, they used to say, Andre, here in the States on the commercials. No wine before it's time.
Exactly. So, yeah, we have some, we're not, we have to get Espanol up and running and be completely self-going before we can even think about starting a next one. Then we had Matthew Sturgis, who says for $19.99. Oh, thank you. Andre, I'd also recommend Perfect Blue, Millennium Actress, and the series Paranoia Agent, all by Satoshi Kon, who made Paprika. Oh, brilliant. They're all on the list, because Paprika won me over. That one was quite simply stunning to me. And Shenotsky sent us $4.99 with no message, but thank you anyway. And Red Tigress just became a channel member, so
Welcome.
welcome.
Woo!
Welcome. Yes. And,
TDK.
yeah. It's brilliant. And the chat just jumped on me, but I think there was another one that I missed here, which was one that I want all your guys' opinion on. Here we go.
You got it? Okay.
Robert, do we have details on the feelings of Iger and Chapstick when it came to the Gina firing?
No.
We don't have any official details, but if we were to speculate, Script Doctor, how do you think that Iger and JPEG, respectively, responded to it when Kathleen Kennedy decided on her own accord, and we are fairly certain that it was Kathleen Kennedy who did that she went and she fired Gina Carano with all the backlash that ensued? How would they have reacted, do you think?
Well, I mean, we have to kind of remind people on the context of this thing. Gina was only signed to a 2-season deal, so she wasn't fired. Kathleen Kennedy's camp made a public statement.
This is fine. She wasn't fired, granted, but I think it's a reasonable bet that after she became such a huge hit, they would want her back for much, much more.
Absolutely. I would say that even Iger and JPEG would probably be banking on basically getting a new contract with her, probably with a more prominent role. We have heard rumors that the Rangers of the New Republic series, she was going to be a shepherd for that. And then I've also heard rumors that they were making her own individual series, because the Rangers was going to be a new team that Gina would be kind of like the spinoff for the bridge to start that up, so people would actually tune in to watch it and give it a chance. And those were all being thrown around stories, and people were really talkative about this because no one really expected Gina Carano's character of Cara Dune to have the impact that it had. Just like people had responded so well to Baby Yoda, it overshadowed the title character itself. But I can see someone like Chapek, who again he's looking at the numbers, what's going to draw in the crowd, being really discouraged, learning that Disney Lucasfilm is deciding not to renew Gina's contract for whatever reasons. Iger, at the same time, I don't know what exactly he would be in a position for, because I don't think he cares so much about that. It's really weird to get a beat on what his opinions on things as of late, ever since he kind of stepped down and then reinserted himself. It's been really tricky. But I could definitely see a big issue with regard between Chapek and the rest of Disney Lucasfilm. Was like, why are we getting rid of this actress who's trending on Twitter, trending on IMDb, increased star meter, is beloved by a lot of people. Like, why would we get rid of a valuable asset like that? Like, that would be my understanding from Chapek. And again, I don't know a whole lot about who he is as a person. But we've been getting a flood of information over the last 8 months about his history and whatnot within Disney overall. And it's a lot to go through to really try and figure out his perspective. But for me, the way I look at it, it's like, okay, he's in this position where, yeah, he can say, well, we didn't fire her because, again, she only was signed to a 2-year deal. But the fact that the current head of Disney doesn't want her back is definitely a point of contention. And if we want her to come back, Disney does have the power to do that on their own. Whether Gina Carano agrees is up to her. And I don't see her doing that given the current people she'd be working for. That's not Jon Favreau. So yeah, it's basically well, what's the term when it's a potential that's never going to be able to be utilized anymore, at least not with the way things are currently being run over there. So yeah, I wish I had more details on that, but it's really a peculiar situation, because an actual firing is when someone is in the middle of the contract and they are cut from the show, and you can see that quite easily in a lot of other venues. But with the Gina's situation, it's just out of nowhere. I'm sorry, that's kind of like word salad. It's like
no, but like I kind of I was gonna say, like, I kind of said this to Andre early on, and I even wrote it in one of the earlier versions of one of our recent videos, where basically I think a lot of this goes back to the Gina Carano thing. I think he wants to make sure that nothing like that can ever happen again, where he does not have some kind of say over it.
Exactly.
Because
Exactly,
he's the
Tom.
one who got the heat over it, and he had nothing to do with it. As Andre pointed out, it was pointed out clearly, I think, in either Deadline or one of the other major papers, that this went above Favreau, but did not go above Lucasfilm. So that only leaves very small amount of people it could be, and obviously Kathleen Kennedy being the head of that snake. So again, you got to basically boil it down to that. So I'm sure he never wants that to happen again.
And financial people in general, we are of the opinion, whether we're coming from the accounting, tax, audit, finance, whatever sector, we don't like drama. We don't like surprises, even less.
Like safety, man.
we like
Predictability.
We
That's
like
what
predictability. We like exactly. And when something like this comes out, go back to the Disney call where the question got asked to him and how he ducked out of it. And also when the KK thing came up and looked at it, you think this guy doesn't know that KK is a train wreck? He knows. Go back and listen to the Disney call. You think this Gina Carano thing was something that he was listen to him on the Disney call and how he ducks and dives around it. This is a guy who wants to talk about earnings. He wants to talk about numbers. He wants to talk about what his plan is. And like any accountant or finance person, he does not like unpredictability. It is exactly like what Tom and Andre just said just now. And Script's right also too.
Okay. Thanks. No, I mean, it's a very peculiar situation. I can't find anything similar to it in history of the studios where.
And even bigger Script, this doesn't happen in corporate America in general. There's no, you think, I mean, God almighty, I can not even imagine at ExxonMobil, which is where I learned my international tax training. This doesn't happen in any other industry. The fact that it happens at all at a Fortune 10 company this size is absolutely ludicrous. And a guy like Chapek with his background, it is intolerable. It is exactly like Tom said, where he says, like, there's no way that this guy wants this to happen again. No way.
I mean, like just off of memory, the only thing I can think of where an actor is fired from a show is back in the 60s, Mission Impossible. The actor who played Dan Briggs, and he was basically fired from that after the first season because he didn't want to work weekends for religious reasons, and he was a little difficult. So they fired him and they replaced him with Mr. Phelps, Jim Phelps' character. That's the one that I can actually remember at that point, and that's like a legit thing because he was signed for. Basically, his contract was renewed mid-season for I think 2 seasons, and then they said no, we're sick and tired of you, bye-bye. And then they got in the actor Peter Graves to play Jim Phelps for the remainder of the series. So yeah, that's the closest thing I can think of. I'm sure there's others, but that's the one that I know of, at least, where a legit person was fired, and a lot of people were kind of the fans of that show were a little shaken by it, but Jim Phelps ended up becoming a popular character and went over. And I don't even think there's anyone at Disney Lucasfilm that even knows that story to even argue that that's probably a possibility that they could have with the Gina Carano thing. But yeah, it's really rare for an actor to go through this type of stuff in this way with such a big property.
Yeah.
Oh wait, Robert in the chat, RDJ was fired from Ally McBeal. Yes, I remember that. Thank you. See, yeah, and there's another example. He was fired mid-contract on Ally McBeal for
because he was
alcoholic.
So he had a relapse, didn't he? Yeah.
Yep, he had a relapse.
Yeah.
Yeah, but as I said, it was funny for Robert Downey Jr. He went from passing out in kids' beds to being on the sheets and covers of kids' beds as Iron Man. So there you go. It just takes
funny how things can change.
Yeah.
It takes well, he got rid of a lot of the people that were encouraging him in that behavior, and then his wife, who's also a really prominent producer, just basically said, what do you want your legacy to be? The guy that's throwing up in dumpsters at 4 a.m. or the guy who's entertaining and making people enjoy?
There's only 2 guys I've ever heard of being in people's houses and not getting the cops called on them and shot.
Rick James and
well, not just that. Okay, John Belushi was the other one I was thinking of, but okay, because he was notorious for just showing up at any random people's houses. Like the one of the best stories on the making of the Blues Brothers was the day they couldn't find John Belushi, They don't know where he went. They're like looking for him everywhere. They had the entire cast and crew out scouring the Illinois neighborhoods looking for John Belushi. They're like, how can one of the world's most famous comedians just disappear? Well, they finally knocked on the house of some guy, and he's like, yeah, he's here. And they're like, what? Yeah, but he's sleeping on the couch. We don't want to wake him up. He came in. He goes, hi, you know who I am? Yep. He goes, okay. Is it all right that I'm here? He's like, sure. And he went and made himself a sandwich and fell asleep on the couch of some random family's house.
Hey, I had a friend like that for a while. I mean,
only
I had
certain
to cut him out of my
people can get
life.
away with that.
Yeah, I had a friend like that to come out of my life. He showed up one morning at 4 a.m, and it was awful. God, ugh. And that guy never got help, unfortunately. But look at the turnaround, Robert. That's why anybody can change your life if you're committed in the right way and if you got the right people around you.
Well, there's two stories right there. You had John Belushi, who sadly didn't, and Robert Downey Jr., who has, and he's a huge success story since. I mean, he's arguably become one of the biggest stars in Hollywood right now. So,
and of all time, let's not forget.
Well, he's definitely made his impact legacy, which is fantastic for him. The only thing that's kind of hurting right now, especially in the industry wise, is that if he's not in a Marvel film, his movies don't get as much recognition or love.
No, but he did get some recognition with Tropic Thunder. Don't forget that.
Oh yeah, like he was on the rise there with Kiss Kiss Bang Bang and Tropic Thunder, and then Iron Man and the Sherlock Holmes. Yeah. Yep.
So otherwise, yeah, he's had some misses, but he's still considering he could have been done a lot worse to himself. That's for sure.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. And but we got a few more super chats here, but a lot of them look like they're just trying to start some drama. So I'm just going to say thank you to, let's see here. We got the Historian. Thank you for your super chat. And Xenomorph. Thank you for your super chat. Was there any other super chats that were actual like things that we should address that aren't just trying to start?
Well, yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Brett Cohen said, I love your bacon. You better check out if you're living in C40 cities. Yes, cities that have signed an agreement to limit meat and dairy consumption. Yeah,
Wait, what?
Better get a big freezer then if you're in one of those cities.
So they're saying there's going to be a shortage?
I think it's the deal where they're passing it more to like the rural areas. But I don't know. All I know is that in Canada, my future brother-in-law works for pork, and they don't have any issues right now with supply. So
yeah. And Maherho, or however you say your name, I'm sure I'm saying it very wrong. Afrim. I don't know where you get that from.
He told me. I asked him. I said, we don't read Cyrillic. You have to tell us, how is this pronounced?
Oh, it's
Cyrillic.
I've been wondering for weeks. What language is that?
I don't know the language, but the lettering is Cyrillic.
I think Andre got a warning from the Geneva Convention that he was not allowed to force us to watch Star Trek anymore. So he did not make me watch Lower Decks.
Is it on?
Yeah,
it came out 2 weeks ago.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, of course.
I don't know why they decided to drop it right in the middle of Star Trek Las Vegas. That made no sense whatsoever.
Yeah.
Willie, that was 2 hours ago.
Yeah, we talked about a little bit.
Yeah, literally was exactly 2 hours ago because we started 2 hours and 2 minutes ago.
And Yellow Flash is like, hey, I resemble that avatar. Very much. Looks a lot like you, Yellow Flash.
But yeah,
welcome, sir.
no, Lower Decks, it's not been a priority because we had such little fun watching the last one.
But what is going to be a priority is me this fall. You're going to, it's not, I don't think I'll be able to get till next month, but I'm absolutely going to nail down Paulie and Culture Casino and make them watch Picard and tape it and snip it and clip it. And it's going to make for good entertainment.
That it will. So that's a priority. And then maybe they can watch some Lower Decks afterwards to see if that will rinse the palates. And on that note, John Harper wonders, do you think that He-Man will get renewed for a second season?
I think it did already.
Yeah, I think it did, yeah. But again, it depends on when the second half drops.
But you got to remember, Netflix signs things for like 3 to 5 seasons usually when they do these things. But that doesn't mean they'll get finished. I mean,
well, yeah, they always have an escape clause, so if they don't want to, they
look
can.
at Dark Crystal, for instance.
Yeah.
And the honest thing is I don't think Dark Crystal was bad. I just think people weren't ready to sit down and spend 20 hours of their lives watching the series. It was a very long series. Like, it wasn't the typical binge model series because it was really long. That's the only reason I didn't get into it, but everybody who watched it said it was great.
Yeah, I heard it was fantastic.
And hey, Six says, I love this channel. I love this panel and especially love the chat. Well, thank you so much, Six. One of our wonderful wrenches who's always helping out in the chat. And we appreciate it so much.
And a quick shout out and hail to Natasha and
Natasha
and Stephanie and all the mods today that are fighting the good fight.
Mr. Tickle Trunk, who's usually with us as well. So thank you very much. You guys do a lot of work and don't get a lot of thanks for it. So we try to thank you when we can. The last millennial chimes in with, you guys are awesome. I'm out. Have a great day. Well, we're getting there ourselves. We're getting close. Was there some other stuff you wanted to touch on, Andre? Because I think we're almost caught up on Super Chats, if not.
Yeah, I think we're getting to be caught up. Let's see if there's something else cool in the news here. I'm like checking right now, see if anything happened. And whoa, the chat jumped on me like big time here.
Yeah, it does that to me too.
But yeah, all right. But anyway, smash that like, everyone. We are not yet at 900, but getting there. So we have more than 1,000 watching. So please get us to that 1,000 likes. If you haven't done so already, smash that like. And then let's see if we have missed anything here. Let's see. And now I think that we are. We are caught up. We appear to be.
Reservoir Frog is saying that the Spider-Man trailer is rumored to drop tonight instead of tomorrow. And I wouldn't be surprised.
Not with it leaking. They might as well hurry and just drop it right away. There's no point in waiting until tomorrow. Like, the big spoilers are already out, so what's the point in waiting? Like, the only reason if it's like still rendering and stuff. But beyond that, might as well just drop it and be done with it.
Just to talk about it, because we really didn't get into it too much, because, I mean, there really isn't much to say other than, okay, Mikey Sutton was right about a few things, and honestly, I'll say this. I hate it when these things leak early, to be honest with you. I know that doesn't sound like, what are you talking about? You're in the, in the arena where you would love it for the clicks. No, honestly, I don't, because now I got to see it in this really crappy version. So whatever big surprises I was going to get out of seeing it in the good version are gone, right? Like, I don't really care now when it drops.
That's the problem, because when unofficial trailers drop, because the video's not of the quality and the sound isn't of the quality, they do lessen the impact no matter what the eventual quality.
Yeah, because I kept complaining to these guys. I'm like, I can't understand what he said there. You can't hear it, and so like, even now it's just kind of like,
but still we recognize that guy. So like, spoilers and spoil.
Yeah, so like any of the good spoilers
that's ruined.
Yeah. I mean, unless you guys feel otherwise, but that's just me. I don't like it when these things leak early. It kind of ruins the.
Yeah, no, I don't like trailer leaks, to be honest. Like, I like trailer releases where you can see it in full quality. But
and heck, no, I would love to be wrong about this. I would love this to be like the wrong trailer that's leaked out there, and the real trailer's much more awesome. That would be sweet.
It would.
That would be clever if they managed to pull that off. Where it's like, oh, this one leaked. Well, we'll just quickly recut some other scenes and change a little bit of the narrative and drop something fresh, because that would be a smart move on Sony.
Yeah, because it's people are pointing out, even like, this trailer that we saw that leaked was clearly not done. There's still a lot of VFX that needed to be
that's
finished.
why I think that it leaked from someone watching it at the VFX house or something. One way or the other, it can be traced to a VFX house, since it's such a rough and unpolished, unfinished product. That's just my best guess.
I also miss the days when there wasn't an ad campaign behind a trailer release date, where you were just going to a theater or on TV and all of a sudden the trailer appears and you're like, what?
Yeah, that's awesome.
I hate teaser trailers for teaser trailers.
I just hate press releases for teaser trailers.
I missed, like, back in the day when there was like a teaser trailer. It was like, what the hell is this? And like, oh wow, it's coming, unbelievable. That was pretty sweet. The very few times.
Honestly, I miss the days when they actually used to make, like, Hitchcock used to do this and a few others back in the day, where they'd actually make a trailer for the movie where none of it really showed the movie itself. You know what I mean? Like those were always kind of fun and neat. Deadpool took that campaign and ran with it, right? Like
Yep.
how many Deadpool trailers did we get that weren't actual trailers? They were just Ryan Reynolds saying, "Hi, I'm Deadpool," and he just starts talking and doing like a little bit. Like those, I love those. Like do those more often. Don't show the movie. Get me interested in the movie, but don't show me the movie, right? Like, you know, give me a little bit to kind of get it, but I don't need the whole thing because you're right. Like anymore, these trailers just give way too much away.
They used to do loads of that in the early 2000s, though. I mean, like both Ang Lee's Hulk, Tom Jane's Punisher, they got like those specifically shot teaser trailers with like some with some footage that was filmed just for the trailer and not at all part of the movie. I miss that. I would have liked to see more of that.
It was kind of worse in the 80s and 70s, though, because if you go watch classic trailers a lot of the time until they became a bit more, you know, until we started getting in
Polish?
the late 80s.
Is that the one you use? Polish?
Yeah, polished, because like they would literally just slap 5 or 6 scenes together in a trailer and you would get the whole entire movie and they wouldn't give a shit. They'd show the ending of the movie right in the trailer.
Well, they still do that sometimes.
Yeah, they still do that.
No,
I mean, like
one of the worst fucking trailers ever is Gremlins. Watch the trailer for Gremlins. It is literally just like 3 scenes slapped together. It is the worst trailer. Batman is another one that I remember is one of the world's worst trailers, but people loved it. That's because that first trailer was a haphazard slapped together trailer. They got together.
Actually, I think people were talking about the car more than anything.
Exactly.
In the Batman like, that's a cool Batmobile. I was a kid at the time thinking that I want that car.
But back then it didn't matter because the movies were still good. Like Back to the Future is one of the first trailers I remember being like a trailer that sold the movie as a.
Oh yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's Max's little like chiming at the start.
Yeah.
No. Originally, the first teaser trailer, all it was a road, like a dirt road, and you saw the car and like a horizon, and Michael J. Fox just walking up to the car, and then it goes and then a little girl, like not a little girl, but a girl's voice on the computer says, "How far are you going?" or whatever, and he's like, "Oh, about 30 years," and then he drops his glasses. That was the first teaser trailer.
Oh, that was the second teaser trailer. The first one,
you're right.
Eric Stoltz.
Well, I don't remember ever seeing one with Eric Stoltz.
Oh no, there is one. It's on YouTube.
I'll have to find that unless it's fake. But like, and then the second one actually sold the movie, and that was where you started getting like the guy coming in with the trailer voice and stuff. That was one of the first ones where I remember the trailer voice, because a lot of times before that they didn't do it. I don't remember the trailer voice being a thing until mid 80s.
No, yeah, they didn't really have the trailer voice, because even for Star Wars, they had the guy who was doing the voice, but he never did it as the trailer voice.
No, it was like, this could all be happening right now. You know, and usually the trailer voices were, you know, they did it back in the 50s and 60s, but then it kind of just went away.
There was a really good trailer for Superman, I remember, that came out. That was a bit more cinematic.
Well, that was the teaser trailer. It was just the sky, and it just had the names come in. Is that what you're talking about?
No, I'm talking about the one where it had Christopher Reeve as Superman in the Fortress of Solitude, and they're doing this like narration where it's like, his name is Kal-El. He calls himself Clark Kent, but the world will know him as Superman, and then it just goes to that big thing. And
that's
like,
the second trailer,
That's the second one. That was the one that basically sold everybody to go see this right away.
Yeah. And Canadian Spider-Man wants to know, is Johnny Depp or RDJ, who's more a rogue, more talented? I would say Depp's probably got more depth, but RDJ is probably more of the superstar. How's that?
RDJ has a style or a signature, and Depp is transformative. Because you can watch like 4 different Depp movies, and he's unrecognizable as consistently across.
Exactly. Like Robert Downey Jr. is usually just playing Robert Downey Jr.
Right. Which is okay.
Well, yeah, because that's why he works as Tony Stark, because they're one and the same almost. Like they just have that.
They have the same vices that they have to overcome.
Yeah, exactly. And they're both charming, but they have, you know, dark sides kind of thing. Yeah. They work.
That's what you said about me on Me the other night.
Yeah, but that was in a sexy way.
Oh, okay.
Echo Base Network's in the house. How you doing? I think that's probably Nick.
Oh, yeah,
what is the worst? What is worst is when an entire movie leaks like Wolverine Origins with unfinished CGI. Great stream, guys. Keep up the good work. Yeah. Same thing happened with Hulk. And because like if I would have seen the finished effects of Hulk, then I probably wouldn't have went and seen it in the theaters. I'm talking about the Ang Lee Hulk. Because that movie was so much better before the effects were done.
I feel the same way about the Wolverine movie, like the X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Yeah.
I to this day prefer
The other
the
cut.
work print version to the final theatrical version for two reasons. One is that the story was 100% locked, like the cut was locked, so there's absolutely zero difference in footage, running time, anything like that. All that is identical. The only difference between the leaked work print of X-Men Origins Wolverine and the finished movie is that they finished up the special effects and the color timing. And honestly, the finished version is worse because it has no excuse. Whereas the work print, it has the excuse of being a work print. I mean, there's no excuse for the claws that were animated on looking like they were drawn in on top of the celluloid with crayons. There's no excuse for that in the final version. You can get away with that in the
well, the other part too. The work print also had the Hans Zimmer Dark Knight soundtrack on it.
Which was better than the final soundtrack.
Well, there's 3 other movies I can think of that released ahead of the other, ahead of when they came out, and they were actually better versions. All 3 of them.
Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
That's not one of them, but
was actually pretty good. But like their final version was also pretty good too. So
yeah,
I've only seen the final version. I love that movie.
The first one I ever remember leaking, which was way early on in the days of internet downloading, Jason X, hit the internet like a year before the movie came out.
Really?
Okay. Yes, and it was the uncut version, so it was the unrated cut, which has never seen the light. I was hoping Shout Factory would redo that.
So there's a better version.
It's slightly better. Slightly better. I mean, it's still the same fucking movie. It just has all the stuff the MPAA forced them to take out.
Yeah, and for a movie like Jason X, that makes it a better movie.
It does. Yes, again, like it's marginally better. And then the other 2 would be Halloween, which most people probably remember, the Rob Zombie version. It was a little bit better. It was kind of a mix between both versions we ended up getting, but there was still stuff in it that didn't make its way to the final cuts of either the unrated or the theatrical version. And it was marginally better than what we got in the end, but that movie's still shit, so that doesn't say much. But the one that bothers me the most was when the R-rated version of Crispin Glover's remake of Willard got online, and that version was fucking epic. And then they cut it down. I went to see it in theaters. I'm like, oh, I was so jazzed because I told my buddies, I'm like, this is a great movie. You guys are going to love it. It was cut down to PG-13, and they changed the fucking ending. I was so pissed. Because like that could have been one of the greatest remakes of all fucking time, and they blew it. I don't know how many people in this chat right now or on the panel are familiar with Willard, but the original film is decent, but the tone is kind of off, and it really needed an update. And they did the perfect job in that original cut, and I was hoping that Shout would restore it, but they didn't as well. But like that, the R-rated version of that was just like the perfect remake. Everything was pitch perfect. Arlie Emery was great in it. The cast was great. They cut out all the stupid shit that was in the original version, and they stuck to the basic storyline like to a T. And then the alternate version that they ended up putting in theaters was garbage. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it, but
no, I skipped out on Willard. I heard some.
Nope, I'm out on Willard. Didn't see it.
Guys, we have a rumor. Rumor update. Spider-Man No Way Home trailer official release rumored to be pushed up to 6:30 p.m.
Yeah, we got that earlier.
Tonight. Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, and then also everyone smash that like, get us to 1,000 likes because YouTube is a big fan of that. So if you haven't done so already, smash that like.
You know what they need, Andre? They need some inspirational music for hitting the smash button. Here we go. Hold on. You can hit the smash button today.
Nice. Very nice.
You can hit the smash button right now.
I'm surprised if we don't get a copyright claim.
Yeah, I'm wondering, like, I think, whoever owns Queen catalog might.
Oh. Uh-oh.
Mecha J says make trailers great again. I agree.
I would be all for that. I love watching trailers. Especially
the only thing around that is I don't know if you can copyright that sound effect because it's not music. It's just sound.
It's just people in a bleacher.
They can try if there's.
Because until the guitar kicks in and the music, the vocals, then yeah, it's just stomping and clapping. Dash D says, I watched the Turtles versus Batman last night. I've seen that. Isn't that the first time the Turtles go in their shell for protection? No, I'm pretty sure they have quite a few times, actually. In fact, there's a scene that's cut from both films where they go into their shells. There was a shot that's in the original trailer from the first film that I have no idea what scene it's supposed to go in, but I believe it is in the opening shots where the turtles surface in their shells and shells only from underneath the sewer into the like it's like in a little reservoir.
The Bay River, yeah.
Yeah, and then in the second film, there's a scene cut right after. That's how they survived. They kind of give it away, but they don't show it. But it is a cut scene where when they surface before they get up on the dock, they actually all surface in their shells and shells only. So that's in the movie form, and in the cartoons, they've done it dozens of times.
Yeah.
So absolutely. Oh no, that's nothing new. That's something they've done. That's why they love being a turtle.
There's a like one thing of those films. There's a lot of little 10 to 15 second cut shots out of the first two turtles and whatnot. And oddly enough, like last night after I was doing Nina's show, I decided to watch with my girlfriend Iron Man just to see how well it holds up. And during that climactic fight scene between Iron Man and Ironmonger, I realized, oh yeah, there's 90 seconds cut from the fight in Sector 16 before they get out onto the highway. There used to be a bunch of scenes, little shots in there that they couldn't do because they couldn't meet their time for release. And I'm always wondering one day if they would ever just restore those composites and throw them in there on like an Iron Man special edition or something, because it'd just be interesting to see a bit more of a fight going on there.
Yes, indeed.
And then D. Bud Martin says, for the lovely wrenches and the work they do.
Yes.
Natasha 6. Stephanie Janishek Smuggler's Cantina. Yes, indeed.
Don't forget Mr. Tickle Trunk.
And Mr. Tickle Trunk.
If you got a trunk to tickle, he'll tickle it.
Okay, that just sounds disturbing, Tom.
It is. But we still love him. And with that, I think we're caught up on all the super chats.
I think we are. I'm going to do one final double check here, but I do believe that we are. Let's see here. We got the Bud Morton, we got Dash D's, we got Mecha J.
And Ram Bam just yelled my name, so I'm going to go yell Ram Bam 3000. There we go.
I want to know who the person is at YouTube executive level that keeps making all these weird changes the last 3 or 4 months. I mean, they could have just left it alone and when it was working fine.
Naked
Fame. But if they do, they can't say, "Look what I did. Look what I contributed to make the code better." But yeah, I agree. Personally, I would have preferred them to just go back to how it was in 2016 and leave it like that.
Yep.
Ray
Moreno.
What did you say his name was again?
Ray Moreno. Oh, no.
No, this one. How do you say it for
Afrim?
Afrim.
That's what he told me.
Afrim. I can hear you, Naked Fame. And there's about 1,450 some other people I didn't say hello to either. So don't feel bad. Dash D says, did you think Batman was a jerk in this one? He's aggressive, but not too bossy a-hole like that. Honestly, I actually really liked TMNT versus Batman. I only had 1 point of contention with it. Only one. And that's was
not bad, considering how protective you are of the Turtles.
Yeah, it was just that they've obviously adopted this whole inner beast thing, and I've heard about it in the comics too, so I'm not happy with that. But that's in the movie. Other than that, the movie's pretty good.
That is so lame.
I know. Other than that, you actually might like it too, Andre. It's pretty good. I thought Batman was well handled. I definitely loved the fight with Shredder. Him and Shredder facing off was amazing. I thought it was pretty good. I was entertained for a 90-minute movie, so. And like Andre said, considering how often you could fuck up the Turtles, they did a pretty good job with them. I thought they were well handled. So they did a better job than Nickelodeon's done in the last few years.
What? Did you want to repeat that, Tom? What did you say?
Because they were lent out by Paramount to Warner Brothers, and let's just say they did a better job. Nickelodeon has in the last few years.
Be careful about lending out your favorite toys one way or the other.
I know, right? Well, they've been doing the Super 7 ones. They re-releasing them again. I'm like, oh, they're beautiful. But, you stand there and you look at them. Do I leave them in the box or do I take them out?
Or do I get or do you get an extra set so you can do
That's
both?
the thing. I can't afford that right now. They're not cheap. They're not expensive, but they're not cheap. It's the same. Oh, we have a guest. We have a guest at the last moment.
Oh yes, awesome, fantastic.
Doomcock
Welcome, the
himself.
future ruler of the earth.
Hello, gentlemen. How y'all doing?
We're doing amazing, especially now that our leash is here to share his findings with us.
I found some coffee. That's what I found. I just got up and
This time of day, that's the most that can be asked, isn't it?
it is. I was up real late last night, and then I took some stuff that knocked me on my ass, and now I'm all creaky because I think I slept in one position all night. And I'm drinking coffee, and I'm hanging out with some awesome folks. And I understand. I just picked up my computing device here and saw that apparently a doppelganger was in the chat earlier, but it were not me.
See,
No,
that's what we're afraid
the
of.
beauty is that we don't send the link to doppelgangers. We send them to our real friends. So yeah, you got the
I
real
wasn't
link,
so
and
sure
your
if that
presence
was
is
him.
always welcome. No, because you had a doppelganger, and this doppelganger, he claimed that you had, or the doppelganger claimed that research had been made, and the conclusion was that Kathleen Kennedy is definitely, with 100% certainty, not renewed, and she is gone. Whereas personally, I'm a big fan of your analogy of the Schrödinger cat experiment. I thought that one was extremely on point, which I've brought up like several times. So my kudos for bringing some quantum theory in there. And I think that's probably the best description of this situation that we are likely to get at this point in time, pending further confirmation one way or the other.
Right. I don't, I never have presented any of these, rumors or news items as factual, because in my video, I pointed out that we are not in the mainstream. We are outsiders. So, of course, we are going to be attacked by the mainstream media, by proxies, by shills, who want to discredit us because we're a threat to their narrative. I mean, that's just the way it is. And you do get like small channels like who are jealous, that are throwing shade and insults and stuff. It's just best to ignore them. That what they want you to do is respond and boost their sad, non-existent ratings. But the thing is, we are under constant assault with our integrity and everything else. And I never ever have represented metaphysical certitude that this is the case, this is definite or anything. So yeah, just beware of false doomcocks. There is only one.
Exactly. That's we were actually talking about that. We're like wondering, is this a real deal, or is this a pretender to the throne? But again, the beauty is that we don't send a link to pretenders. We send them to the real deal.
How do they even do that? Because in the chat I put @ and I typed the same thing I always do when I'm with my overlord and on his shows, and it came up the same. That's weird. I don't know how they do that. That's awful, Doomcock.
You must have had like an extra space in between DVD or something we just didn't notice, because like I said, they did a really good job.
Yeah.
And that's what sucks about not being able to actually go to people's pages and stuff from their name in the chat, because then we could have actually flagged that
user account.
Yeah. Because I've seen
great show last night, Doomcock. You guys did wonderful.
So
thank you. Yeah. Well, I never look, I don't have time to go on live streams, and I sure as shit am not going to sit in a chat and type away. I mean,
So that's not normal.
it'll
for you,
never
so
be
I
me.
wasn't-
It'll
I
never
wasn't
be me.
Sure, I didn't think so. But we had Sukiyami99 who says, if going woke means going broke, then why do companies go woke, especially with the anime becoming mainstream?
Yes,
This
let's
has to
hear
do
what our leech has to say
Yeah.
about this.
I really I do not know. I think that it's it's a combination of things, in my opinion. I think it's these idiots, these corporations, their management live in bubbles, and they don't consume their own product, so they're not fans. They don't know. It's kind of equivalent to a chef not tasting their own fucking food. Then how can they know that it doesn't suck? But these people, they don't care if it sucks. They're just I don't know what the hell they do, but that's one of the problems. The other problem is genuine, true believing nuts that have matriculated through universities or something there where wokeness is rampant and like a wildfire of contagion, and they get indoctrinated and then they actually believe this crazy shit. And then also, finally, there's the element of just literally being hostile to this country and this civilization and trying to do the undermining of our institutions and everything else. Yuri Bezmenov talked about this back in the 90s, 80s or 90s.
80s.
Yeah. Lecturing about, they're playing the long game, and part of, attacking a civilization is undermining it from within, undermining its institutions, faith in its institutions. And so far seems to be going swimmingly. So.
Yeah. Basically taking apart everything that binds a nation together and fund everything to tear it apart. And I don't want to go too down that particular rabbit hole, but I will say when many corporations and even entertainment divisions choose to go woke, so to say, there is quite often someone that offers some level of funding for them to do it. Someone that does not expect a return on their investment. They're willing to pay to have a certain message out there. So yeah, that's regrettably how it is. And then Willie Woodward wonders, when will we ever have a Doomcock action figure? I think there would be a good market for those. Maybe team up with Super 7.
Well, I don't know. I'm always thinking about this kind of stuff, but it's
I need
tricky.
a Doomcock Motu figure.
Yeah, that would be.
I always figured the Doomcock action figure would be his robots that he sends across the world to help achieve with his conquest.
Well, that would be part of the line, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And now we know how Script Doctor died.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
He put it out there too soon. Too soon.
Yes, he ventured forth. He sallied forth, and
You put out your plan.
And unfortunately, he was dressed up in disguise as BB-8. And unfortunately, my robots are programmed to destroy every single BB-8 toy, anything with BB-8 images on it. It's just it's just such a joke. I mean,
Dumbest
honestly,
robot ever.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's awful, and I mean, Tweaky is about the worst robot that there ever was. Beady, okay, Buck. Oh my God, I love Mel Blanc, but Tweaky, I'm sorry, couldn't ever get behind Tweaky.
Yeah.
But BB-8 is much more loathsome. It's just a beach ball with a droid head stuck on it.
Literally, it is.
It's like beach blanket, BB-8. Beach
Yes.
blanket, BB-8.
You're not kidding, though. I heard that's where JJ got the name from, was Beach Ball 8.
Yeah.
It
No.
looked like an 8. No, I shit you not.
No.
I shit you not.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
Not
looks like
as
a
clever
beach
as
ball,
R2D2 for
Yeah,
real 2 dialogue
and when
2.
you put the head on it, looks like the letter 8, so he called it Beach Ball 8, BB-8.
And we
shit
saw
you not.
through it instantly. I saw through it. And it's like, oh my God, that is just the most.
That is in
pathetic
writing
thing.
somewheres. I know that for a fact.
It's very clever how it moves, but the design of the look of it is just ridiculous. And that's
Yeah, that's the
exactly
sad
what Jar
part.
Jar Abrams does, is he just takes apart better things that other people did and puts them together wrong.
Honestly, you're right. BB-8 is one of the only things I could see George Lucas actually doing that's in the sequel trilogy. Like if he's like, that's pretty neat. Like if somebody come up to him with the whole gyro robot thing with the way BB-8 works, he would have totally fell in love with that, right? Like,
oh, totally.
That's the only thing I could see where out of all this stuff that we got feels like something George Lucas would have been like, yeah, that's him.
And yet I despise it. So
I hear you.
I also doubt that George would replace R2-D2 with it.
Oh,
too.
that's the other side of it.
That's the one that
absolutely not.
bugs the hell out of me.
Absolutely not. No. But he would have definitely fell in love with that little droid. He would have put him in there still. Dash D says, and as Widow ended, all I thought was, what the hell? That and LOL all the way home. So you actually went and seen it in theaters. So there you go.
wow.
I didn't hate the first half of Black Widow. That's the sad part.
I didn't even see it.
The last half is where it went off the rails, in my opinion. But so you didn't even see Black
only
Widow.
saw 25% of a movie because Black Widow is only really half a film.
Kind of.
Wow.
I don't know if there's any super chats in between there, Andre, if we missed them. But
no, I don't think so. Next one is actually Doomcock himself. He should do this, and for fun, he should do it as me.
No imposter can be Doomcock. There is only one true DC, Overlord DVD.
Nice, very nice. There's a little bit much Bela Lugosi in
I know,
there,
I noticed that too. Like you
Bela.
got off on the Bela.
Now nobody gives two fucks for Bela.
There we go.
Let's shoot this fucker.
Pour this drink. Pour this drink.
Hyperdiver 2 says, when can we actually start doing cons again? There needs to be an army of Doomcock cosplayers, especially at Dragon.
That would be amazing, yeah.
I don't know.
That would be awesome.
Or something?
That would absolutely be awesome.
Oh, I'm down to show up to a con in a Doomcock outfit. I'm down.
I'm sure you would.
I actually privately made myself some long sleeve T-shirts with my tunic pattern on the front. I don't know. Maybe I'll put it up for sale. I don't know. I thought I should be the only one to have one, so that if I ever did go out in the unlikely event I ever went to a convention.
You should look into Doomcock is one of those like hoodies where you can zip the hoodie all the way around and like it's
God,
like,
that would be cool.
You know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. That would be awesome.
That would be awesome.
Darius Munchausen sends in a $1.49 super sticker. Thank you so much for that. Canadian Spider-Man, speaking of, I've seen Spider-Man hoodies like that. Says, can Shatner do Bat Tom, do Who's on First, etc.? Oh, God, I'd have to get the script up.
Yeah, probably not at this time of the morning.
It's a little early for that.
Say, who's on first? What's on second? I don't know's on third. That's what I want to find out. I said, who's on first? What's on second? I don't know's on third. Are you the manager? Yes. You know the fellows' names? Well, I should. Would just be.
And then all Bat Tom would say to Shatner is, why you talk like that?
I talk like that because it's my modus operandi.
Your what? Whatn't?
My modus operandi.
Oh, Joker has one of those.
And Andre, just so you know that your mastermind plan, Doomcock has jokingly sent me to rewatch episode 5 of Masters of the Universe Revelations on a couple of the shows lately. So.
Yes.
And for your Ed Wood impression, Augie Ben Doggy gave $2. Thank you so much. Yeah. The other line I like in that is Karloff couldn't wipe my ass.
To hell with that cock, you know what?
No, that is truly glorious. I really have to say. Needs a little bit more work on me though. Needs like a little bit more Viking, a little less Bela. But I'm sure that'll come.
Pretty good though.
Pretty good. Like my accent is one that's really difficult to imitate. I figured. It's very few have like nailed it.
Well, yes, when you're talking normally and rapidly, it's harder. I'm doing Andre in narrator mode, which is different.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
But I'll get better at it. It just takes
Oh,
a
you're
while.
getting better already.
Yeah, it's already.
We hear
better.
about it all the time. So,
Yeah.
and I'm witness to it a lot of times. So,
And in my defense, though, like when I talk like not a narrator mode, I have to like think for every word. Okay, what's the next word to hit here? Like what's like start to think. What's that freaking word in English again?
That's right. That's exactly it. So I'm just working on it.
And you know when he's really frustrated is when he swears in fucking Norwegian too. Infinity Flare says, "I'd pay good wampum for Doomcock action figure playset, complete with Harvey Contanium field, of course. The button."
Oh yes, I'd pay for that.
Oh yeah, and I've got new denizens. I'm going to introduce the world too soon. If only I could go in a time bubble and just have a lot more time without time passing, then I could do a lot more. But
we all
I'm just one guy.
Do that. Yeah. As I always say, the day just doesn't have enough hours.
Right. Exactly.
That's exactly it right there. Like the day just keeps on passing by, and like for some stupid reason, like eventually the body insists that you shut down to sleep.
Yes, the damn
needs
body.
To be a few extra hours in the day, and I could get more done for sure. Jason wants some more Brando in that skit. Well, I'm working on some Brando. I gotta get a thing where I can do the capture in my face.
You know, you sure do talk funny.
What?
You sure do talk funny, mister.
I can't understand a thing you're saying.
I can't follow what you're talking about. Take the marbles out of your mouth.
Why is this guy talking like he's got something in his mouth? But they wouldn't be able to understand each other.
No, they wouldn't.
It'd be like Tom Petty and Bob Dylan trying to talk to each other.
That's all, folks.
DJ Casey says, I can recommend Mahler's Black Widow video instead of the real one. There you go, Doomcock. It's once again as informative as fun to watch. In most cases, you're probably better off watching Mahler's reaction or reviews than the actual movie, because he'll break it down for you pretty good. So
yeah, I just haven't had a chance. I think she's hot though. But
oh yeah. Well, and you know what? Even that Florence Pugh character, I didn't mind her, like as an actress or a character. It was just the movie just got unbelievable and lost its footing in that last half. It just And then Augie Mendoggy sends in $2 and says, "Brando." Script really likes the Brando impression. So
Brando's pretty good.
You gotta get a bagel. That's all you need.
He's starting to sound like Popeye. Well, blow me down. Popeye the Sailor Man.
I'll do it on one condition: no pants. That's a true story. He shot the score with no pants.
Oh my!
Yeah.
He's a nut.
Yeah, and he shared it. That's like the worst of it all.
His best story, though, is when he tried to convince Richard Donner that he could play Jor-El as a suitcase.
A green suitcase.
A green suitcase at that, yes.
Yeah.
Well, kids, he's an alien. They don't know what he looks like.
Fucking idiot.
Of course, he knows that people on Earth look like people, so he made his son to look like people.
I think Andre should make the comment, Brando is a method actor, and his method is madness.
Indeed.
Yeah.
That sounds like something Andre would say.
It does.
Actually, it does, yeah. I would totally say that. You see, you're getting completely into character. I would totally say that.
The longer I hang out, the more you're going to be uncertain of your own identity.
Well, then, in the end, Robert Meyer Burnett will be proved to be right then, because The very, very first time I spoke with him, this is a true story. The very first time I spoke with Robert Myburn, this is off camera. This is before we went live or anything. His very first words before I could say hi, or he could first was like rushing the question, "Are you Doomcock?" To which I could say, no, sadly, this is an accent I'm completely stuck with. But of course, Doomcock is getting better at mimicking that. So,
I don't think Andre could do any other voice. I just don't think he could.
Well,
I could try, but you wouldn't be able to tell the difference.
And now, here is my impression of John Wayne. I'm not going to do that, Pilgrim. I'm not going to do that.
Good.
Pretty much.
Exactly.
Thank you. And now, my Elvis impression. Don't be cruel to a heart that's true.
Here's a better one yet. And now, my Skeletor impression. Why am I surrounded by bubbling boobs?
It's actually funny because like sometimes when I do a recording for like an editorial or something, I'm thinking, fuck that. I like when I feel like myself like this sounded like crap. I'm gonna redo that line. I'm like, okay, yeah, now I really nailed it. And I listen back and it sounds exactly the same.
I don't. There's
I think that if I try, I can do the Finnish accent. Because in Finland, they like to drink and they like to go to the sauna and they speak like this.
Don't ever do that again.
Do that a tiny little bit.
Don't ever do that again. I'm not going to say what you sound like because we'll get canceled, but don't ever do that again.
You actually can do that easily because nobody here knows what a Finn accent sound like. So anything you do is going to be spot on, dude.
Well, it sounded like something. It sounded effing something.
Yeah, right. I was gonna do that again. Oh yeah, and here we have.
Oh my God, you guys are making me laugh so hard I had to mute.
Yeah, here we have someone that evidently recognizes Finnish. So Parkkila, that's what they say in Finland. So yeah,
you're making me question my masculinity here. Master Clockwork also says, imagine being handed a 40-year-old franchise with a massive fan base, and instead of doing what works, you go, nah, fam. We're going to do our own thing. Well, that's everything in Hollywood right now. That's everything. The only thing that's not doing that is Creed and Cobra Kai are like the only two I can think of. And maybe The Conjuring.
Cobra Kai is doing its own thing, but it's within the rules of like Karate Kid. That's
exactly
the difference, right?
Yeah.
But I think I'm glad I came on here this morning because now I have a new bit for Friday Night Frolics, which is basically me doing an impression of Andre doing an impression of famous celebrities. It's perfect.
It's very Andy Kaufman, I'll tell you that much.
Yes, very meta.
I look forward to listening in on it after the.
That was always one of my favorite.
I still have to find like the bit someone has to send me because due to the time zone, it's like difficult to watch any streams live. Like some I have to find like 5-hour streams, but I do have to find the bit where Doomcock relays his experience of the moment from our Masters of the Universe Sorrow stream, in which I told Mike, you have to go see the final episode, like right now, this moment, then come back. Yeah, and then share your feelings.
Okay, I got to write that down. I'm going to clip it for you today and send it to you because it's on one of the Sunday shows. Actually, it's on 3 of the Sunday shows that we did. And no, I'm sorry, it's the Friday Night Frolics. I'll find it and send it to you.
Jeff C says, Bat Tom versus Shatner Two-Face. Wow. That would be interesting. I don't think Doomcock's seen that. I brought that to your attention, if I remember correctly. You had not been aware that they had done animated versions with Adam West and Burt Ward of Batman, and they actually had William Shatner play Two-Face in the last one. And I believe that was the last thing that Adam West ever got to do before his passing, if I'm not mistaken.
And I'm glad he got to do those two things. It was like an epic revival. Should have done those for a decade. Well, at least
those are great. But I guess the history of it is that Shatner was initially going to play Two-Face. Isn't that something like that script? Or
I think that was one of the rumors at the time.
But they didn't want to use Two-Face because he was too grotesque or something like that.
I do have the old Two-Face script from the William Dozier series somewhere around on there that they were tinkering with, but they never got because I think the studio at the time didn't want to have the makeup of like a person half-faced.
That's
on
what
there
I
at
heard
that
too.
point.
Yeah, it was too grotesque for the show, they thought. So.
But they went with the false face stuff, which I loved those false face episodes. They were fun.
Yeah,
I
I
have to
like
say,
Adam West Batman.
I like it too, but you know what I think would have been like too grotesque? What I think is like one of the greatest missed castings there ever was. It would have been completely wrong for the series, but like the two really standout villains was of course Frank Gorshin as the Riddler, because he made the Riddler famous.
Agreed.
And then of course you had Cesar Romero as the Joker. But as I was rewatching that a few years back, I was like looking at Frank Gorshin's amazing performance. Imagine if it had been a much more serious take and Gorshin had played the Joker.
Well, I think yeah, I mean, he was, look, I don't know. I mean, people always thought that Frank Gorshin was funny, you know.
No,
I mean,
he wasn't. He was freaky as hell. That's what he was.
yeah, he was scary. I mean, literally, he was fucking psychotic.
Well, really, I mean, the Riddler is
Police
kind of a
psycho.
more calculated Joker, really.
I'm going to go with diabolical, borderline psychotic.
Well,
Yeah.
And,
He was
that's how he
spooky.
came across. He came across as like a really freaky guy, and that's what I'm thinking. Like if there had been a more serious adaptation, and that guy going completely wild as a psychotic Joker, I mean, that's the villain that
Yeah.
would have
Well,
gone down
that's
history
why-
that we never got.
That's why
Yeah.
I've said I'm not against Jim Carrey ever playing the Joker, because I thought he did a great job of recapturing Frank Gorshin's Riddler in Batman Forever. Because really, that's what he's doing. He's doing Frank Gorshin on crack. Let's be real. It's the same character. And that's because that's what he grew up with. But like, if you give him that same kind of thing and say, run with it as the Joker, I bet he'd be a dark, sadistic fucking Joker.
Oh yeah.
Well, he would have been brilliant. But the thing is, I don't know where I saw it. I don't know if it was on YouTube or watching reruns of Johnny Carson over on Peacock, which is a great streaming service, by the way, because you can watch it for free. You just get some commercials, but my God, it's really great. Anyway, and Frank Gorshin was a great impressionist. I mean, he was made basically like Rich Little. He did so many great voices. But just watching him is scary because, you know, I mean, I grew up as a, you know, I would watch Batman and I just have this image of him as just fucking scary as shit. And then, you know, he's on there, you know, doing hilarious impressions, but I keep expecting him to, you know, drop the act of normalcy and attack.
Well, the funny thing about the 60s Batman series is as much shit as it gets for being, you know, goofy and stuff like that, and more kiddie or whatever. And in some words, it's called camp, but I don't know if you can define it as camp per se. Honestly, those versions of the characters are the ones we usually think of when we think of the characters, right? Like Burgess Meredith, what he did with the Penguin, that's what we first think of, you know, and what the ladies did with the Catwomen. I mean, that's what we think of first, you know, and that's obviously what, you know, Michelle Pfeiffer kind of based hers off of a bit too, was, you know, there's a lot of Eartha Kitt in her Catwoman. Come on, you know, like it's clearly there. I mean, and those are the characters that were like, oh, okay. So yeah, I think that series always gets overlooked, even though Batman and Robin are a bit hokey in it, you know. I think the villains are very well received and very well conceived is a better word.
In my estimation, at least, and I could be wrong here, certainly for America, but internationally at least, that series is what first made Batman iconic. And by that, I mean, literally, it was an image that filled the entire public consciousness. Like, for instance, if you were to look at the very first Batman sketch or something like that, and you show that to a random person, they would have to stop and think, what the hell am I looking at? You show that image of Bruce Wayne as Batman to anywhere in Europe, Asia, wherever, they're going to instantly be able to spot Batman.
You mean Adam West as Batman?
Yeah, and likewise, also, if you basically just went to a random guy on the street in France or wherever, this year, 10 years ago, 30 years ago, and you told them, okay, close your eyes and describe Batman for me. everyone would be able to do that. If you said Green Lantern, Wonder Woman, they might not have a clue, but they would be able to do Batman, and what would come out would resemble the
60s Batman.
60s Batman, because that was like truly iconic in that it captured the imagination of the world, and it cemented one look for the character. Of course, then for comic book readers in the 80s, you had Frank Miller's The Dark Knight that changed it. On film, of course, you had the Burton movie that also redefined Batman for that generation. But still, it's one of the Batmans that are iconic. The first Batman is iconic.
Funny you mentioned 89 Batman, because I remember vividly when that movie was coming out, a lot of my older cousins and uncles and all that kind of stuff were like, that ain't Batman. That ain't Batman. Batman's Adam West.
Right.
I heard that several times over, and it wasn't until that movie actually came out and they saw it that they're like, okay, now I'm on board. Right? Like, they took it, and that just speaks to how strong that movie changed just how the country viewed Batman, and it was because of that big change and shift because of that. But no, I don't think anything could ever be taken away from the Adam West Batman and how much influence it had on just comic books in general and everything.
Well, it was also incredibly intelligently written. I mean, as a kid watching it, one of the things that was always funny is like the riddle from one of the first episodes, which is how is an orange like a bell? And it's like, well, you can peel both of them, but how many people know the term of peeling a bell, right? Like you have to think about that, and it's kind of interesting. And then you get further on when you have awesome actors like Victor Bueno, who did King Tut, and he'd have all these like little funny digs. Like there's jokes about like the alliteration of like the King of the Nile and stuff, and he's like, what was that one? And he'd repeat, he's like, no, go back one. And he's like, that was like, yeah, I like that, say that. Like just kind of like a little off kilter, little earnestness to it. And I mean, you don't get that type of stuff in current media as well, especially if it's going to be either on the comedic side or on the opening up doors of new avenues of thought and information as well. Like you don't get that effort in current day.
Rod Thunderhawk brings up another interesting point about the 60s Batman. It was the only television show at the time to air 2 times a week, as far as like network shows that weren't like the news. Yeah, that was different.
That was, and it was like a cliffhanger, and then it would be the next day you would see the
for soap operas.
Yeah. I mean, it was brilliant. It was a lot of fun.
Do you think that might have been the reason why it kind of got oversaturated though? Because I think that's what happened during the third season, is it kind of ran its course and it kind of popped its bubble.
They lost money for the third season, so they only did one. It was basically every episode was a back-to-back episode, like it was a serial season, but they didn't have money for sets. They brought in Batgirl because they tried her as an experimental pilot with Killer Moth, I think it was back in the day.
Yeah,
and
I can't remember, but I think it's on the Blu-rays.
And great, yeah.
Yeah, I think they should have kept ramping up the humor and the outrageousness, because after the initial shock value, I think it started getting a little bit, a little tired. I mean, it was brilliant early on, like when Catwoman, Julie Newmar's Catwoman, plunges to her doom. And he reaches into his utility belt and pulls out a bat handkerchief and dabs at his eyes. I mean, that was brilliant. And
then, the movie has a lot of great moments. Yeah, I was just going to bring up the movie. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, the movie, with some days you just can't dispose of a bomb.
Yeah.
But for the most part, the movie was so, and I think maybe that was a mistake. I don't know. But,
shark repellent and all that. Yeah, because the movie came out in between the first and second season, right?
Yeah.
Yes, but I mean, the entire idea, like I loved of the movie, is the fact that Penguin is clearly impersonating Commodore Schmidlap, and Batman and Robin clearly know it.
Yes.
And they're just like, let's just go along with it.
Yes, I love it.
I unapologetically love that movie. I don't care, and the soundtrack's amazing.
Oh yeah. Oh, I love the movie, but it isn't as funny. Because it's long form. I mean, it's kind of like Kids in the Hall,
It is, but I do love the Kids in the Hall movie too. So
well, I thought it was a lot of these long form things that sketch comedy troupes attempt to do is not as funny as the show. It's very hit or miss. And I thought Brain Salad or whatever it was called was not nearly as funny as an average episode of Kids in the Hall, which was just inspired madness.
But I still enjoyed it. Same thing with like Mystery Science 3000. Like, again, it's the same kind of thing. Once you get past that point, it's kind of stretching itself. But I don't know. I've seen worse.
I actually like the subtle jokes in the movie where they call like the Navy officer, and the Navy officer's playing like a board game with his secretary instead of doing something important like of his position. And
right.
And it's just like, oh, we're just gonna like flick these little plastic chips and try and getting into a basket or something, and then they're just taking random calls from Batman. It's like, did you sell a sub to a criminal? Yeah, looks like we did.
Hey, Mr. Penguin.
P.
Penguin. Yeah. Mitch Thibault says, Kathleen Kennedy is the embodiment of equality of outcome. Only applies to the filthy rich and privileged. Few others, it falls apart. Shame most people can't understand that. Well, that's the thing, is hopefully what if Chapek is really doing what like Cameron and Script and a few others have kind of
well he, in terms of like what he's doing with the company, he is like, this is official policy. The question is how successful will it be, and what the big thing here is what kind of piece of shit contract did Iger give these people before, and how ironclad is that? That's the real question here. That's the thing that may limit JPEG. Because like for the next generation of executives to come in, they're fully under his control. However, but in terms of longevity, we don't know exactly what's in the contract with Iger.
Yeah, I can't really believe that there's some kind of clause that says at the end of your contract, you can opt to have another contract. I mean, what kind of madness would that be? Then perpetually...
Well, they
can never, ever have the contract end. I mean, come on, I don't know that makes any sense.
Yeah, giving the client to choose whether to still be an employee.
Right. I mean, then of course you can't. I mean, that's
no. I think it has more to do with the billion. Each of the sequel trilogy making at least $1 billion, even though that it was a downward thing. It still, they put that kind of a thing in there, and that's probably what it was. I'm willing to bet.
But why would it be a prequel? Why would it only be the sequel?
Because
I mean, what about Solo?
Because as I said before,
that money.
I doubt that. From what this is kind of again like from what I was roughly told, is that basically they never expected any of the Star Wars story films to ever make $1 billion. Those weren't in that purview. This had everything to do with
weren't real trilogy. Star Wars movies.
Yeah, exactly.
From their point of view.
Well, that's true.
Yeah,
they were right.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
They didn't realize that we talked about it earlier. DVD is that just merely the announcement that a contract, how damaging just the mere announcement of her extension could be to fandom further, which is already a fandom fractured.
Yep. Well, that's the problem. Kathleen Kennedy rising from the grave would be a very bad idea.
Well, to be fair, she's not in the grave just yet, so that's. But she's still
Schrodinger cat.
She's still in the figurehead position. Question is like, is she going to continue to be in that figurehead position, or is she finally going to go out the door that she so richly deserves to be kicked the hell out of?
And yeah, and as SEM guy points out here, and this is kind of what I was getting at too, contract options for an extra year or two are common in sports, specifically the NFL. And I think it's the same thing here. At least that's what I was told, is that if it goes through, it's because of that and that only. And of course, the Mandalorian being a success for Disney Plus. So, and she gets all the credit for that crap. So, but as long as, again, we'll never know until the day comes here in the next, month or two. We don't hear anything, or if they, like a Script said, once you start hearing about replacements, that's when you know something's up.
Yeah. And it's been very, very quiet on that talk. But again, consider this. We didn't hear anything about Iger's replacement till it was suddenly announced out of the blue that Iger had found his man in Bob Chapek.
Well, yeah, a lot of people thought it was going to be Alan Horn.
Here.
A lot of people thought it was going to be Alan Horn.
Alan Horn, too old. I knew it wasn't going to be Alan. He's too old.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. But
And again, we could have a repeat of that. I mean, if JPEG is victorious, suddenly one day out of the blue, we get the announcement that here's the new boss of Star Wars or of Lucasfilm. It's not outside the realm of possibility that one day suddenly could happen, completely unexpected.
totally.
I certainly
true, yeah.
hope so. But yeah,
Well, if they have Kennedy sticking around, then I'm out. I mean, it's just I'm done with it. That's just sorry. You know,
but
I don't blame
agree
you. I've been
completely.
out.
I don't blame
I don't
you.
give a
That's what I'm
shit.
saying too.
I don't
That's
give a
what
shit.
I'm saying. As I said, like the only way to get the fans back is that she has to go out, because just her being there, in Hollywood, there's a symbol effect of that, but there's a symbol effect of that out there in the real world too, and it's not the one that they intend. Star Wars can never recover, can never fully heal, as long as the person that broke it is in the building.
Yes, and rewarded with another contract extension. Sorry, that's just it's just been brutal on fans, and she fucking sticks around. Then, yeah, I'm just fucking. I will not. I've not given Disney a dime, and I will not give Disney a dime until they fix things. And if they start making progress, like I thought they were, like everyone is. I mean, look, all of my sources. Just shrug and say we haven't heard shit, and other sources have said, oh no, she's definitely out. So my sources range from she's out, she's trying to get back in, but she's out, to well, we haven't heard a damn thing about any kind of inkling of a contract renewal. In fact, it probably should have been done in June if it was going to happen, but you know, at this point, we are excluded. We are not insiders. So all we can do is rely on sources and you know, cross our fingers and report these things as rumors, because I think the information is potentially worthwhile to fans. You know, fans do not get the real story ever, and if you know, every once in a while we can get them advance notice of some of this stuff, I think it's worth doing, so long as we are not getting ahead of our skis and saying, oh, this is you know, this is fact or something. I think the only fact here is that regardless of Kennedy staying or leaving, even Sutton acknowledges that Filoni and Favreau are over Star Wars now, and even if Kennedy returns, it would be as a figurehead and would not be over Star Wars as she was. But even so, just the mere fact of her presence is just symbolically too much.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's exactly right.
Yeah, and we kind of pointed that out in the earlier part too. And I, you know, again, like Mikey, we've known him for a while. I don't think he, again, I think he believes what he's being told. Right. He has no reason to go out there and try to spread some misinformation like this.
No. If this is incorrect, he has been misinformed.
Exactly. And again, if it's something out there to try and discredit, like you Doomcocked, it would look really bad for them on the other end if she's not renewed in a few months. Like, that's the thing. So it makes no sense in that part. But all I can say as far as Mikey's reporting, he was spot on with the Michael Keaton thing. He was spot on with the Spider-Man thing and a few other things. So we have no real reason to doubt that he's being told by good sources,
to be spot on with the Secret War thing too.
Yeah, and that is looking like, so again, but he could be wrong on this. He could be wrong on this. We don't know, and it's the Schrodinger cat thing until we know for sure. So,
Schrodinger's Kennedy.
Yeah,
it's basically she's in a box. The box is sealed. There is a compartment inside, randomly.
Could you call it a mystery box?
Timed to open. It may or may not open by the time we open the box, and if it does open, a pink slip comes out. So we don't know if Kennedy has got a pink slip or not, and in fact, she has both a pink slip and not a pink slip in this analogy, because she is in a state of quantum superposition, and the probability cloud of Kennedy's fate has not collapsed into an outcome until we open the box.
No,
The
that's
mystery box.
very succinct. And I also have to say, it's so ironic with Erving Schrödinger. When he first came up with Schrödinger's cat, that whole thing, he did to highlight this is how ridiculous quantum theory is. You can't believe this drivel. And that's now basically been taught in textbooks worldwide.
Nicholas Horton sends in another super chat, says The Witcher animated movie, The Witcher, Nightmare of the Wolf, is now on Netflix, clocking in at 1 hour and 24 minutes. Well, there you go.
Well, I will go and watch it. I look forward to it. I love The Witcher. I am Witcher 3, along with Red Dead Redemption, the original, are like my two favorite games of all time. I want to live in The Witcher's realm. I just think it's incredible, and I wish to God, I wish to God that they would come out with another expansion, another series of adventures for Geralt, because I'm jonesing, and I'm dragging my heels finishing the game because I love it so much.
That's a sign of an amazing game when you just don't want it to end.
I know. It used to be I would, charge into a game and try to see how fast I could finish it and stuff. I don't want to do that. Same thing with Red Dead Redemption. I wanted to live in that West. It was so beautiful.
Good. It's like being in the movie back in time.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. And then Red Dead 2 came out, and it was very different and not as hot.
It was dumb. I mean, game designers, come on. I don't want a game where I have to do the same shit I have to do in real life. I'm not interested in bathing in a game. I'm not interested in having to fucking shave. I'm not interested in having to pack for inclement weather. I'm not interested in having to fucking unjam my gun every, 10 minutes. I'm not really down with if you're out in the fucking woods and you shoot somebody that suddenly miraculously there's a witness that six the law on you. Come on. This is where they completely lost what made Red Dead Redemption fun, which is the wild, wild fucking West. And you could pretty much do what you wanted. Sure. I mean, if you were dumb enough to shoot somebody in town in cold blood, there's all witnesses and you get the sheriff after you. Okay, that's fine. But I don't want to do all these trivial tasks. It's not what I fucking sign up for. Very disappointed in the second one. I haven't even played it. I started and it was just like,
I enjoyed it, but I do agree with there's certain things that are problematic with it.
What makes it mundane. What Doomcock's talking about is that RD2 it makes it mundane. I mean, I'm like literally sitting there like, all right, do I want to do this menial stuff I have to do every day inside this game, or should I just go do a tax return in order? I mean, like, what's the next thing I was going to see? You know what I mean? So
I actually got through it pretty quick, but I went through the story aspect. I didn't muck around with the side stuff.
Oh, okay.
And the story side of it was better than the other game.
Well, I'm sure, but again, that's just a big no for me. And
because it's actually one of my favorite games, I will say that.
The first one was my favorite.
Well, yeah, I still like that one too, and I'm not saying it's not maybe better in certain aspects, but again, once you get used to or around certain issues with the second one, I felt it was a better game. But that's just me. It's been a while since I played both. So.
They should have had a mode where you could toggle it to go back to drop a lot of that shit and get into the kind of gameplay that was in the first one. I was hoping they'd release a patch or something.
Yeah, I don't know if they have or haven't.
I don't think they have.
I don't know what the online version's
like
either. So.
No, they haven't.
Which is stupid.
I played it last week. Nope.
Nah,
that's why I can't enjoy it, But Witcher 3, man. Witcher 3.
C-Man says it's reward season for the company I work for. Starting to see reorg mails now. Bet Disney is similar. Mike, do you know anything about that?
No. Well, that affects companies that are on a fiscal year. Finish up their, start a new fiscal year, and it affects a lot of companies, but not every company. So,
well, guys, I have got to go and get some food. But I'm glad I was able to pop in and
no, we were actually ending before, but we ended up going an extra hour for you. No, that's fine. We got a couple super chats and we'll finish up here, but thanks for hopping in, Doomcock. We appreciate your time. Thanks.
You're very, very welcome. And I just want to say one thing, in my impression of Andre, just like my impression of Shatner or anybody else, it's out of love, I mean, it's something that I do, not as mockery, but as tribute. And furthermore, I just want to say in general that, people like Andre that speak English, if they have an accent, let me tell you something. He speaks English much better than I speak his language. In fact, I can't speak a word of his language. I admire people who have English as a second language. I think that's absolutely amazing. And anytime anybody laughs at someone's English accent, I just roll my eyes. It's like, well, can you speak in their language? So it's just wanted to get that clear, Andre. I think it's amazing that you can speak English like that.
Oh, well, thank you. And anyway, no worries. I know that you come from a point of respect, and so I have absolutely no issues.
Andre has a sense of humor.
I greatly enjoy
class
your
act,
imitations. There's a couple of out there that do it mockingly, but you're not
Like
one
me.
of them, so that's cool. Yeah.
It's just doing like I do Humphrey Bogart. You understand? I love Humphrey Bogart. I love William Shatner. I love John Wayne. It's just the way I acknowledge affection for distinguished voices.
What's wrong with your voice?
Well, I don't know. I think he's just one of those Star Trekkies. He's not very good at real life.
I didn't understand anything.
I know. Anyway, you guys, I'll see y'all later.
Have fun. Take
Love
care,
you, brother.
guys.
Take
Later.
care, sir.
Take care, you guys.
Michael Miller says, who wants the
Take care.
title? It will be extension until Indy 5, not a full renewal. Chapek and his 1-year contracts. Yeah, that's kind of what we were saying.
That's the hope. That's what's
It's likely
Stephanie Janishek was speculating.
scenario.
I think it's
Yeah.
that's actually a very sound scenario,
Yeah.
assuming that's something that can be done within the contract that Bob Iger first gave, because like this guy is now he's the problem here. So yeah. And then we have a couple of older super chats we have to go through here as well. So just going back a teeny weeny little bit in time, we have Billy Russo who referenced the fake Doomcock that was in the chat earlier. It worked. We got Doomcock in here anyway. Yes, indeed we did. How awesome is that? And then Darius Münchhausen sent us a popcorn super sticker. And then let's see which one we didn't get here. Ram Bam 3000 sent us a unicorn super sticker. And then we have, let's see, Michael Miller, who says, oh yeah, no, we got that one. Dash Attack then. I'm finally making videos on entertainment. Thank you, Midnight's Edge and the community. Oh, that's awesome. Everyone go check out Dash Attack's channel. Show him some support. And Rob Altis says for $2, if JPEG fires KK, he will get vilified by Vocosos. Yeah, but he can kind of like claim the same thing as with Gina Carano. He didn't fire her. He just failed to renew the contract. And it's already been signaled to the industry that she's on her way out the door. So we'll see how well that is tolerated. But yeah, that's always been like a worry that Kathleen Kennedy would tell her stance on Twitter to incinerate the castle on her way out the door. Do you guys think that's a valid concern?
I'm sure it's a valid concern. Will it actually happen? I don't know. What do you think, Script?
When it comes to Kathleen Kennedy, there's nothing you can be sure about other than maybe the stuff she greenlights is probably not going to be the best.
Yeah, you see there, that's quite a ringing endorsement, isn't it?
Mike?
No, I agree with you too. Who knows? Who knows? Stay tuned, everybody.
Andre, anything else to add?
Yeah, no, not really to that. All I would like to add is that when script even says you don't really never know what Kathleen Kennedy is capable of, then you have hired the wrong person to associate with.
Right.
When there's someone that you don't know if they're liable to do something like that, then that's a person that you can't be in business with. Now when you know.
Yeah.
And one thing that I have heard is that one of the reasons why she may want to stick with Lucasfilm is that she can't get another job, because it's an open secret in Hollywood how badly she butchered this. And everyone loves her and respects her to her face, but no one wants to work too closely with her. Everyone wants to admire her and suck up to her, but from a safe distance.
Yeah, she can't even retire and start her own little production company again, even with her husband's name attached. I don't think she could do well on that side of things.
Well, they still have Kennedy Marshall, and they're part of Amblin, so
yeah, like they have their contracts with them, and they've got that grounding. But it'd be like the Rick McCallum thing. Like when he left Lucasfilm before Disney completed the purchase, he left the country and he started his own thing in Europe.
The last thing that they put out together with their joint name on it like that. What was it? That documentary on Sunset Boulevard about rock bands back in the 60s and 70s. Did you see it? Did you even see that? No, Tom. I'm crickets.
the Jurassic Park movies, I think their names are both on, and or World or whatever, and of course they're both working on Indiana Jones. So
they got no future.
And don't they? I don't know if they're going to have anything to do with the new Shrunk movie, but it didn't they produce that one too? I could be wrong if they had anything to do with those, but
Frank Marshall on Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
I don't think so. Maybe.
I don't know. That's a little out of my purview. I can't remember.
Well, I don't think so, because what's his face directed it? Who did Captain America and Jurassic Park 3, who they've had a falling out with.
Oh, Joe
Johnston directed.
Joe Johnston,
it.
Yep.
But other than that, I mean, I don't think she'd have a problem doing other things. That's the thing, is I don't care what she does outside of Star Wars. Just get her the fuck away from Star Wars. That's my main thing.
And I think that she should be removed from Lucasfilm in its entirety, because as long as she's there,
well, I mean, that's what I mean. As long as get her away from that stuff. Yeah. Let her go make her other crap she wants to make.
Yeah, and not even at Lucasfilm. Give her her own division, or better yet, have her do her own company far away from Disney. Yeah. Because she
no, they had nothing to do with the Shrunken movies either. So no, I mean, but they have all their other stuff that's out there with Amblin and their own Kennedy Marshall company. Go let them do that shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
don't bother the rest of us. We didn't do anything to you.
Exactly. And then I don't know if there was any messages in between here that we missed, other than the ones you got in the back here, which we got. Darius Munchausen sent us $1.49 popcorn sticker. Thank you for that. Billy Russo sent in €2 and says it worked. We got Doomcock anyway. Yes, we did get Doomcock. And then other than that, I don't know if there was any in between there, but then I got this one from Dash Attack is the only one I can bring up otherwise. So you'll have to see if there's any other ones. But Dash Attack says, I'm finally making videos on entertainment. Thank you, Midnight's Edge and the community. You may have grabbed that one already, didn't you?
Yes, we did. And I also said, everyone check out Dash Attacks.
Yeah.
Other than that, then I don't know what we've missed. So you just have to double check.
Let's see. Golgo13's Anime 101 says, yes, thank you for all the encouragement on making contact. I appreciate all more than anyone knows. Keep being awesome. And then he follows up with mod The Witcher equals new game.
There you go. All right. And with that, I think we're all caught up.
I think so too.
So I'm assuming you'll want to check in with Midnight's Edge Espanol tomorrow morning. And if the Spider-Man trailer drops tonight, they'll have something to say about it. And I'm sure we will tomorrow night on Midnight's Edge After Dark. And that is a separate channel. So if you have not subscribed, we do suggest you head on over there and subscribe, because every Tuesday and Thursday night, you see hooligans like Mike, Script, and myself talking all kinds of nonsense. And Andre even pops in once in a while. And we also are joined by Jesse, who's actually on vacation right now. So he might be out for the week, I think, but he will be back soon. But other than that, that's usually the band of the band that joins me, and we always have other people hop in like Culture Casino, and who knows who else may pop in sometimes. But we also have Toxic Femininity tonight, and I believe one of the ladies of Force of Light Entertainment is going to be joining in, so can't wait for that. Other than that, was there anything you guys had to plug or talk about before we wrap things up here?
No, you already plugged what we're doing tomorrow night, so we're good. I'm good.
Well, I am probably going to go over to Lorena's producer, Fat Steven Seagal channel. He's got a Babylon 5 show going on, I think, in about an hour or so. So stay tuned on my Twitter account to see where that is, and hopefully we'll see you there and you enjoy it.
All right, excellent. With that, I would like to say thank you to everyone here in the panel. It's been a pleasure to do the stream with you, gentlemen. I would like to say thank you to Doomcock for his surprise appearance. And I guess I should also say thank you to Fake Doomcock for
initiating that appearance.
Yeah. And also, of course, a special thanks to all our mods who have been working a lot today, and that's much, much appreciated. And of course, to every single one of you here in the chat, engaging with us, giving us tips on anime. I know I got a few titles that I have to go and check out because I'm such a big fan of Paprika. So anything like that, I will check out. With that, I do believe it is time for some marsupials in the rain.
Koalas in the rain, koalas in the rain, no fucks given.